I don't know what to say. I I'm nervous. Just fucking with you. Hi guys, it's Monkey in the Morning. I am the Ranting Monk. Hope you guys are having a great day. I'm all right, having a decent one. My cat has got over her grudge with me, so that's always nice. Gave her medicine yesterday. She gets a topical medicine once a month, and she absolutely hates it. And yesterday, she spent all day ignoring me. This is a cat. Anytime I open my office door, comes running down to greet me, and wants picked up and put up on my shoulder. And she lays there and she just purrs and gets pet, and she loves it. Yesterday, none of that until bedtime, when she finally forgave me but refused to purr. She let me put her up on my shoulder, but she's like, I'm not going to enjoy this. But she's completely over that, so that's cool. On the screen, we have today's kitty cats are brought to us by Darth. These are his kitty cats, and look how cute they are, just all cuddled up. I kind of want Phoebe to have a sister, so she'll have those cuddle up moments. But I also know Phoebe, and I don't know how much she'd actually engage in those. I just want to be perfectly upfront about today's topic. This is as close to clickbait as I get. Shue, if you're listening, I know sometimes you've been disappointed in the past when I haven't gone all in on you. I don't know if I'm going to or not, because the truth is I haven't watched this video. The title, ShoeOnHead's Bad Political Take, I'm just guessing that we're going to disagree at least once, because even in the videos where I agree with the majority of what she says, there's always one thing where I disagree. And so, I was just playing the odds here. And as for the thumbnail, that she makes it so easy, she really does. But anybody that I'm reacting to makes it so easy, because I don't have to think of the topic. I just get to react to what is said and expound on what somebody else said. It's really the easiest way to do my job. I left it purposefully where I stopped watching, because I did watch just a little bit of this before I decided, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and react to this. Let's see, what is it? 1:16. That's as far in as I got on this video. So let's back it up to the beginning, and we'll let Shue take it away. What was the title of this one? How did this happen? Epstein, Fuentes, and the Democrats' revenge. Dun, 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 dun.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am here to inform you that the rumors are indeed true. The Democrats have struck back. In the New Jersey...
Did they really, though? I know what she's doing here, because, again, I have seen the first little part of this, but I've seen this when the election first happened earlier this month. There were a lot of people like, the Democrats, look, they're winning again. They're winning. Did you notice how quickly that died down? That was one of the, sinuses. That was one of the quickest turnarounds of a political victory that I've ever seen. Like, 1 minute it's, hey, look, the Democrats are back. And then the next minute it was like, never mind. Like, you have the shutdown go on. You have the disastrous release of the Epstein files. The big buildup that the Democrats started pushing for on a topic they did not care about. Yoshi says, it's my birthday. Can I get a song? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Yoshi. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. I hope you have a good one. I really, really do. The Epstein thing that they fought for, remember what they told us during the shutdown? They were keeping the government shut down to keep that one congresswoman from being sworn in, because she was going to be the deciding vote in a House that wasn't voting at the time, to release the Epstein files. And Trump just doesn't want them released. That's why he's telling Congress not to vote for the continuing resolution. They're just doing it to hide the Epstein files. And then the Congress gets back into session. They reopen the government, and Democrats are like, they're fighting us on releasing the Epstein files. And then Johnson's like, fuck it, we'll have the vote on Wednesday. And then they were like, we're going to release some emails we got. And then the Republicans were like, fine, fuck it. We'll release 23,000 emails. And nothing has come of it. Make no mistake, the Democrats' whole point there was to try to get Trump, and they didn't. I mean, nothing. The only thing they proved is that Epstein really, really, really hated Trump. So, I mean, how much of a win did they really get this November? Anyway, sorry, back to Shoe.
The governor's race, the Democrat won. In the Virginia governor's race, the Democrat won.
Racist.
And in the New York City race, Democratic socialist Zoran Mamdani defeated Andrew Cuomo to become the next mayor of America's largest city. But the question on everyone's mind is, was it just a fluke? Just easy wins in blue cities and states? Or is
Yes, it was easy wins in blue cities and states. That's all it was. Although in Virginia, it is a little deeper than that because Virginia is purple. The Republicans really did not get behind Winsome Sears. The rumor is that it's because she had criticized Trump, but Trump has supported people who've criticized him in the past. Fuck, JD Vance is his VP. I don't know why the Republicans were so against Winsome Sears. But in that case, I don't necessarily think it's because it was a blue state. I think it's because the Republicans basically gave that one away. There was a white lady running, and the Democrats had to have her.
Is there something more to this? Is this a sign of things to come? Is the Democratic Party finally turning their losing streak around? Are they actually listening to the people now? Did they finally learn their lesson? No. Thanks for watching. My last 3 videos.
Well played. No, I mean, it depends on what lesson you're asking. Did they learn? Because why is my wife snapping me? Oh, it depends on what lesson that you wanted them to learn, I guess. The lesson they can take from it, the only one they should take from it, is that communism sells in New York City. New Jersey elects Democrats. If the Republicans don't put any money into it, you can probably win a purple state. Those lessons they learned, but I don't think they needed to really. Did they listen to the people? That's really a hard. I know I'm diving way too far into her little joke she made there at the end of the opening, but this wasn't a national election. This wasn't a national referendum. You're talking about New York City, New Jersey. If you look at Minneapolis, what happened over there with Fry winning, I mean, the more extreme candidate got shot down. I don't think you can really look at what happened. This is what happens in the off year elections, because this isn't even the congressional year. So the ones that go in this case will be 2025 and then 2029. Those are hardly a judge of how the country has turned in any way. You know what I mean? But anyway, sorry.
About electoral politics were warning the Democratic Party that young men were moving right because the party.
For the record, she got a lot of shit for most of these 3 videos. And when I say most of these 3, there were some people who'd like, I agree with a little bit of what she says, but she's still wrong because she's helping the Republicans.
Party sucks and was becoming the young men each die movement, spanking the Democratic Party for losing because they elected one of the most unlikable, shittiest candidates while offering absolutely nothing to voters, and defend.
I need to correct you there. See, I told you her bad political take. She said she shit on them for electing one of the most, talking about Kamala Harris, that she wasn't elected in any form. In the 2024 race, she wasn't elected. She was selected.
The voters from the wrath of a bunch of liberal streamer man children calling the voters stupid and evil for daring not to vote for Hillary Clinton and brownface. But the thesis for all 3 of those videos was basically the same. As the right embraces working class populism, the Democratic Party and the left will continue to fade into irrelevancy. But as I also predicted in those last videos, there might be an eventual pendulum swing, and it might.
You guys know I'm not a big fan of the pendulum swing theory, because even now when it's swinging back to the right, has it really swung back to the right? I Donald Trump gets elected in 2016 and has a pride flag. Remember that? He holds up a pride flag. He famously said Caitlyn Jenner can come pee in the girls' bathrooms in Trump Tower. Trump is still very lefty. Has it calmed down a little bit from the absolute insanity of woke politics, of the victimhood everywhere? Yeah, it's toned down a little bit, but has the pendulum really swung? I mean, if you want to talk about immigration, it swung back to the rhetoric of Obama. There's who is it? Warren Smith, the guy who was a teacher, got fired, now does a YouTube channel. He just uploaded a video the other day going over an Obama speech. And if you didn't tell people it came from Obama, if you just took it out there and goes, look what this guy said, they would believe it was Trump who said it. Every last word. The only difference with Trump is, they've actually closed down the borders and fought immigration rather than just the rhetoric of it. But rhetorically, the things that could get you elected back in 2012 can still get you elected today. There hasn't been this massive shift back to the right. There just hasn't been. You still have people who tell me unfettered access to abortion is what should happen. You still have people that men are evil, women rule. The Democrats, all their nonsense about reaching out to young men voters. Do you remember what they did? They sent a fat, ugly girl who's like, men tell us this is what they want, but that's not really what they want. At best, there's been a Wizard of Oz kind of swing back to the right. That's it. Just a little. But if you pull back the curtain, there's nothing there. There's a little fat guy standing there.
Might be happening much sooner than I predicted. Like, how did we go from Republicans winning the popular vote, in part thanks to a lot of the young people voting, to a bunch of data showing those same young people dropping their support for the GOP already?
Okay, this is actually pretty easy to explain. This is a graph that shows young people, their support of Trump went way down. It says this is the approval. It is the number of people who approve or strongly approve minus the people who disapprove or strongly disapprove. And it gives you a number. So like if 50 people like a candidate and 40 people don't like a candidate, you get a score of 10. Or, yeah, I did that right. If 50 people like a candidate and 60 people dislike a candidate, then you get a score of minus 10. Make sense? Okay. And if you look at the graph, you see 18 to 29-year-olds have tanked. That number has tanked. 30 to 44-year-olds, it's gone down significantly, but it hasn't fallen off a cliff in the last couple of months like it has with the youngest people. 45 to 64, you get the pre-election bounce and then just kind of hovers at zero. It's half like him, half don't. And then 65 and older, it's gone down a little. And there's a reason for this. There's an actually good explanation for this. Propaganda. Propaganda on social media. How many people in the last couple of months have you seen whining about the Epstein file? People who are pro-Trump, like, he just won't do the Epstein file. Bondi and that has a much more impactful, I was going to say much stronger impact, and then I went to impactful and kind of put myself in a corner. That was rhetorically bad. Anyway, it's much more impactful to the younger generation. That kind of stuff always has been. And now that you have social media, and especially the large push that has come to try to convince people that nobody likes Trump anymore, it's going to affect them more. That's all. That's all. It's literally all it is. Trump didn't do himself any favors by going full Streisand on it, though. I hear what you're saying, but in normal circumstances, and in normal circumstances, I mean in historical circumstances, it would have been a non-issue. It was every moron on the internet going, he won't do it. He clearly is hiding something. That caused it. That's all. It was just hysteria over nothing. Everybody should have known by the fact that Biden didn't release the Epstein files that there was nothing in there about Trump. I don't understand. This is a guy who tried to throw him in fucking jail, but he wasn't going to release proof that he was a pedophile. Come on. Anyway.
But the interesting thing is, those young people don't seem to be moving to the Democratic Party either. Where are they going? And do the Democrats have a plan to scoop these people up? Yes, they do. And they called it, I'm not kidding, deciding to win. Deciding to win, as if the whole time they have just been simply deciding to lose. It was a...
Yeah, it is a bad name, but it kind of goes in line with the way politics runs these days. I mean, every group now is, their name is based on what they want to do, right? Like arresttrump.com. It's all based on that. So deciding to, I get what you're saying there, Shoe, that it makes it sound like they had been deciding not to win before. But you can make the argument that they were deciding not to win. They were embracing a bunch of really stupid shit. Seems to be the Republican strategy. Which part? They had to manipulate the law to go after Trump. They would have just pursued Epstein charges if it existed. Yeah. And look, I'm not saying Trump handled the Epstein thing well, but it so much reminded me of his first term, when by 2 years in, he hadn't built a giant, massive fortification along the southern border, and people who had been supporting him for other reasons as well, suddenly like, fuck this guy, he didn't do this thing. He had done or tried to do literally everything he promised. And because they hadn't gotten the border wall, which was being contested in court, and he had, at the time that this starts popping up, the Democrats controlling things. Oh, real quick. Thank you, Alan. That is very generous. Says, good morning, Monkey. Good morning, sir. Hope you're well. But these people were like, oh my God, he didn't build the wall. Fuck this guy. Fuck him. Fuck him. And I saw the same thing with Epstein. It doesn't matter what else Trump has done. The Epstein thing. You can be mad about the Epstein thing and the files not being released. That's fine. But is that the only, if that was your only voting issue, cool. But I don't remember a lot of the people that I saw who were so focused on the Epstein files when the Democrats told them to be, making that their sole issue during the election. I don't remember many of them even fucking talking about it. But suddenly it became the popular thing again because Democrats told you to. And suddenly, they, oh my God, Epstein. We should have had Kamala. She'd have done it. Anyway.
Choice, guys. They changed their mind and they want to win now. In this video, I will talk about why I think Zohran Mamdani won. We will go through the Democrat Party's plan
I'm
to
very
decide.
curious to see her explanation for why Mamdani won. Mamdani won because young people are stupid and have been indoctrinated into communism. That's it. They've been taught that communism is going to be their Lord and Savior. And as we pointed out in yesterday's video, it's going to be the opposite. It's going to be the opposite. Even in the communist utopia where robots do everything, eventually people have to get involved. Eventually those robots break down. Eventually the state doesn't have the means to replace them. And it's much easier to just go, you go do that thing over there. We're already giving you housing and shelter. Apparently they gave you an awning. We give you housing and food. We take care of your children. You're not getting any extra money for this. You're going to go do this because that's what you're getting all these benefits for, and this needs done. Now put away your paintbrush. It's time to get to work. because communism leads to regression, not progression. The free market allows for progression. But we've stopped teaching that. We've stopped teaching kids the realities of communism. And on top of that, they get inundated with nothing but commie bullshit from their social media platforms, following people like Hassan. Like, yeah, if they just took care of my children, I'd have everything I ever needed. I'll be rich like Elon Musk.
To win. We will briefly talk about the rise of the political commentator Nick Fuentes, the MAGA Civil War, and what I like to call the inevitable rise of shoe-socialism. If that sounds interesting, stick around. If it doesn't, you can leave. It's not like I'll miss you or anything. But baka. I know a lot of you are not very interested in politics. You come here for the fun Reddit slop, the men versus women content. Yeah, I know. But unfortunately, politics.
I'm not disagreeing with her with that. I know a lot of people come to her channel. For the record, I come to Shoe's channel because I think she's funny, and most topics she talks about, even if it's something I'm not interested in, like milking farm books, she presents it in a way that makes me laugh, and I like to laugh. It's very much the reason I watch every pitch meeting, even if there's a movie I don't care about at all. Ryan George makes me laugh. But it is weird to me, being how I came up on YouTube, that people go to Shoe and they're not looking at anything political. They go there looking for non-political stuff. I know she's been doing this for a long time, where she's, the Reddit stuff and all that crap. But for years and years and years, it was basically all political. And it's weird now that it's not. Times change. I don't like change. I'm an old man. I'm not good with it. Just saying.
Kind of seeps into your lives whether you want it to or not. So you might as well be entertained when you hear about it and have some fun with it when you can. And I just so happen to have the perfect app for that. So before we get into this political deep,
she's doing a commercial, and Shoe, I love you, but people, go watch her commercial on her channel. We'll jump ahead to where it ends. Do go support Shoe. Please go watch this on hers without my interjections here. And no, not just because it's a nice thing to do, but honestly, it'll probably be much funnier and stuff without my interjections every 2 minutes. And I do like Shoe, and even when I disagree with her, I think Shoe is one of the people that we need more of, because I was watching Trigonometry. Somebody had told me about their video they made discussing their Hassan interview. They actually discussed their interview with Hassan, Dave Smith, I forget who else was on there, Sam Harris, someone else. Anyway, they're discussing it, and they're talking about how when they sat down with Dave Smith, it was good to just have an open debate with people who disagree without it turning into a shouting match or, I'm going to win this. I disagree with Shoe when it comes to like communist stuff, but she seems like a nice enough person, and she's funny, and she's not the reactionary that most of the left is. And yes, in fairness, some on the right. I hate small hats. I have a giant head, so every hat of mine is small. Anyway.
I've harshly criticized the Democratic Party for all my career. Some say too harshly. Frankly, I don't care. And some say I'm not harsh enough on the Republicans. First of all, true, but let's be honest. That's not why you come here. You go to Kyle Kalinske for that. Just like you...
this is... I appreciate her bringing this point up, because there have been times like, how come you don't talk about this thing? And it's almost always, hey, you're not going after this Republican, which is weird, because I dare say of the political people I know of, nobody attacks the right as often as I do, being conservative. But one of the reasons that I do focus on the left is because there's already plenty of criticism of the right. I mean, literally the entirety of the mainstream media. And this, I'm not just talking about newspapers and television here. I'm talking music, movies, television. All of it is just completely like, fuck the Republicans. And there's hardly any. I actually saw a clip today of a congressional candidate running in Nashville. There's a special election going on down there. She's running in a very red district, so she's probably not going to win. But she was on MS Now. Do you guys know what MS Now is? It's MSNBC's rebrand, MS Now. What a stupid name. Microsoft Now. MSNBC made sense because it was a collaboration between Microsoft and NBC, MSNBC. This makes it sound like Microsoft is hooked up with the National Organization of Women. But anyway, on formerly MSNBC, this candidate is asked a uncomfortable question. She's asked about her tweets that she made in support of defunding the police. And the candidate says, I'm not going to answer these how did she say it? Cable news questions, I think is her terminology she used. But I'm not answering that. And she even says, I don't remember those tweets, which I don't doubt. If you were tweeting that shit, you probably tweeted a lot of it, and finding the specific ones where you were being a bitch is probably hard to remember. I get it. But then the anchor asks, okay, what are your thoughts on it now? You don't remember it? That's fine. What are your thoughts on defunding police now? And the bitch is like, I'm still not answering that question. I was like, fuck me. There's a woman running for Congress being asked about public statements she's made in the past and feels comfortable enough on this media platform to just ignore the question. Complete. And this isn't some minor question. The whole defund the police thing was a major thing, a huge thing. And when you're talking about places where you have an increasing crime and stuff, and you have a candidate who's like, yeah, fuck the police. They should at least be able to answer whether or not they still support defunding police. But they are so comfortable in not. Remember the Katie Porter thing? Katie Porter was so comfortable with how she's normally treated by the press that when somebody asked her a follow-up question, she was like, how dare you? How dare you? You don't do this to me. I'm a lefty. I think multiple sclerosis is now much more of a fitting name than whatever they were originally. Thank you, Caltrick. You're probably not wrong. You're probably not wrong. But they went with MS Now. I don't know. Monk, speaking of media, I keep meaning to correct you. Sagar is actually conservative. Crystal is the progressive. I suppose if we're using the scale, then we can say Stalin was actually conservative and Lenin was the progressive. Sagar is not. Look, I've never seen anything from him that is conservative. Send me clips. I'll look at it. I'll take your word for it for the moment. But my personal experience is every time I see that guy, he just has a liberal nutsack in his mouth. He identifies as one. Look it up. So did Anna Navarro, and she hasn't been conservative ever, but she was the CNN conservative. Anyway, all right, back to Shoe. Sorry, I don't even remember. Oh, he was talking about you go to Kyle to look at conservatives getting attacked, or Republicans, sorry.
Go to Destiny to see opinions you can hear on CNN, or to Hassan for dog training tips. You come here to hear, golly gee willikers, I'm left wing and the Democrats have gone crazy. That's the shit you're here for. But are the
except they I hear you, I know, but have the Democrats really gone crazy, or have the normal people left the Democratic Party and so all that's left are the crazies? There's crazies in every group, right? There's always a Antonio Brown, football reference, for every normal team. I do think part of it is them going crazy because the numbers just show that. I mean, Biden got elected, Obama got elected. But it's like the further they descended, there was nobody there to go, wait a minute, stop. And frankly, Shoe, I do find it disturbing that you're trying to help the Democrats win by giving them good advice. Luckily, I know they're never going to take it, so I don't have to worry about you having that much influence on them ever winning again. But I do think you need to stop trying to help them win.
Democrats actually getting their shit together? Or did they simply get lucky in a few blue areas? One of those blue areas being my city, New York, where Democratic Socialist candidate Zohran Mamdani won the election and will become the new mayor. And a lot of people are like really confused about how this happened. And if you're
I haven't seen anybody confused about how it happened. And maybe I haven't watched the right stuff. At least on the right, I think most people, even the ones who are like, we're not that far from Ronald Reagan. How did we end up with a commie Muslim in office? It's not really that they're shocked that it happened. They're trying to mentally understand, trying to put the pieces together that led us to where we knew this guy was going to get elected.
one of those people, you really need to keep watching. If you don't understand why Mamdani won, I'm sorry to say, but you're kind of like the liberals in 2016 who didn't understand why Trump won. It's actually extremely understandable why Zohran Mamdani won, and it's not just because New York is full of commies or whatever.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Okay, maybe this is going to be a bad take.
He's objectively the best Democratic candidate that they've had in a very, very long time. Like, I know
This is where I need to remind you that she's a commie at heart. I just have to put that out there. I know, she Democratic Socialist, because Bernie changed the wording. At heart, she's a socialist, so her saying he's the best Democratic candidate sadly makes sense.
Bars in hell there, but he's young, he's energetic, he's charismatic, and people are really tired of the White House doubling as a retirement home. And of course, I like many of his economic policies. I like the universal childcare thing, the transportation, flipping off.
I just have to ask you about the universal childcare thing, Shue. As a commie, why do you think that the taxpayer dollars should be going to watch, say, I don't know, who's a billionaire that lives in New York right now? Why is the taxpayer going to pay for his children to be watched? And I realize that he's going to be smart enough to go, fuck no, I'm not letting the state watch my child. But universal childcare does provide for that. Why shouldn't it be income based? That if you can afford it, you should pay for it. Even I don't agree with the universal childcare or the government watching your kids anyway. But let's just do it for, if you're going to do it, just do it for the people who actually need it, rather than no universal.
The Christopher Columbus statue, that's the shit I don't like. Bitch, that's our fucking guy. He was a brave Italian explorer who discovered America, and in this house, Christopher Columbus is a hero. End of story. I've said this many times, but I don't think the good left-wing policies can even exist alongside the bad left-wing policies. Like, I don't know how you can have free transportation, but also be soft on crime. Like, I don't know.
Oh, I can help you with that. Because in order to believe that you can afford free transportation for everybody, you have to have a state of delusion. And in that state of delusion, you don't believe that crime is actually an issue. Crime is just people who haven't been coddled enough by the system. It's never their fault. They grew up black because Democrats always seem to just think black people can't act right. It's never the criminal's fault. Somebody else always either made them do it, or it's the environment that they were brought. Don't pay any attention to all the people who don't break the law. No. But in order to have your commie mindset, you got to be a little delusional. So, yeah, crime is a construct. Yeah.
Oh, like, in what world does that work out? You can't have nice, clean, free transportation if a bunch of drug addicts and violent felons are going around stabbing people and setting them on fire. You can't have.
Okay. Didn't you just call Mamdani the best candidate they've had in a while? You're basically saying that his own ideology doesn't work. Just being young and charismatic doesn't make you a good candidate. It makes you a good con man. That's all it is. You don't become a good candidate because you say the right thing. Now, if your only goal is to win, sure. But your good candidate should be good because they'll make a good leader. Mamdani has literally no leadership credentials at all. He might be great at it. The thing is, we have no measure. He's young and he made a dumb smile all the time because somebody said, hey, if you smile really dumbly, people will trust you more. Which honestly, you guys have seen Mamdani's smile, right? I mean, she just showed a clip of it a minute ago. If that guy came up to you and was like, hey, can I talk to you for a minute? And gave you that smile, wouldn't you run and call the police? Be like, there's a dude trying to rape me.
Nice things if you don't have rules to enforce those nice things. You know what I mean? It's always such a breath of fucking fresh air when I go back to visit my family in the suburbs of Long Island and I go to the CVS and the fucking toothpaste is free from their plexiglass prisons. I shouldn't have to wait 10 minutes for some poor wagey to come unlock the cagey so I can buy fucking shampoo. We don't have to live that way. Maybe
Amazon, baby.
Maybe he'll do great. Or maybe he gets into power and immediately cucks to the establishment like some other people.
If you're just listening along, she put up a picture of AOC when she said just cucks to the establishment. Hey, that is your hero's best friend. How dare you insult Bernadette there? Oh, fuck me, man. This is a picture that should come back and haunt you, Shoe. Do I think Mamdani's going to cuck to the establishment? No. I think what he's proposed is preposterous and undoable. And in that sense, it's going to look like he is cucked to the establishment. I think he absolutely wants his commie caliphate. Absolutely. Is he going to be able to push that through when there's literally no money for it? Probably not. Is that him cucking to the establishment? No, that's reality. And this is another reason why he's not a good candidate. Yeah, you come here and be like, I'm going to give you everything. And a bunch of young, dumb people who are pissed off about stuff that's not even real. My parents could afford a house when I was young or when they were young. Yeah, what house did they buy? It was a fucking shoebox. It wasn't the McMansions we have these days. You could literally fit your mom and grandma's house into a new house today. I can't afford what my grandma did. If you went out there looking for what grandma did, you'd be buying what we now call a 2-car garage. But anyway, you get this guy who comes out there and makes all these promises to all these people who feel disenfranchised because people keep telling him how abused they are. And he's like, I'll give you everything. And they're not smart enough to go, how are you going to pay for that? That doesn't make him a good candidate. It makes him a good snake oil salesman, which is what he is. He's a very good snake oil salesman. And if you're dumb enough to buy snake oil, you'll probably vote for him.
Let's talk about it. I just don't know how the hell anyone thought Andrew Cuomo was going to win. He killed a bunch of grandmas during COVID.
As you admitted this week, you personally altered the state health department report to undercount.
I mean, in fairness, Shoe, he almost did win. If that had been a 2-person race, there's a good chance Andrew wins that. Just saying.
The death total, to hide the death total, and then evaded and lied to these families for 5 years. So
you killed a shit ton of people. For what? Plus, he doesn't even...
Well, you also have to remember, Shu, that while they're bringing that up now, nobody really wanted to talk about that. Democrats were so afraid of that Andrew story that they brought up fake sexual harassment lawsuits against this guy, or allegations. I don't know if any of them ever went to lawsuit. I need to correct myself there. But they brought up absolutely fake allegations. And I will just remind you, because if anybody's watching, like, we're not fake. This is literally one of the allegations about Andrew Cuomo sexually harassing a woman. Woman comes to a party at his house and he asks her, hey, you want to go upstairs and see this room that's got really cool stuff in it? And she said, yeah. And so they went up there and they looked at all the stuff and they said, let's go back down to the party. And she goes, okay. If you're looking for more to that story, there's literally none. There's literally none. He didn't make any moves on her. He didn't say anything sexual to her. None of that. He took her to a room to show her some cool shit in the governor's mansion. And she just felt like he was going to sexually harass her. That is one of the stories they printed about what he did to keep people from paying attention to the fact that several Democrat governors, Cuomo, my governor, Whitmer, Wolf out there in Pennsylvania, there was one more, I forget which one it was, killed a bunch of old people. So they don't want to talk about that. He did nothing to me like a monster. Exactly. I'm not making that shit up. It sounds like made up, doesn't it? Because of course they're not good. But then again, go read what Aziz Ansari was supposedly guilty of. Hey, want to do it? No. Okay, cool. Want to do it now? Okay. Oh my God, he sexually harassed her. He assaulted her. Anyway, remember, it wasn't the old people getting killed in New York nursing homes that got Andrew out of office. It was those bullshit sexual harassment charges, allegations, whatever you want to call them. Do you remember Rebecca Watson elevator drama? Rebecca Watson. That sounds familiar, understatement. But I don't. You're going to make me have to look this up, aren't you? Let me see her face and see if I remember her. No, I don't. That does not ring a bell, and neither does she. What happened to that? Mr. Hugh, it's your birthday. Around here we do this. Happy birthday to you. I don't have to count down because it's me. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mr. Hugh. Happy birthday to you. Hey, that rhymed. Happy birthday. I hope you have a good one, my friend. All right, back to Shoe.
Live in New York City. He doesn't live in the city he's running to be mayor of. Cuomo just kind of expected to win based on name recognition alone and being like, hey, at least I'm not the other guy. Sound familiar?
And isn't it amazing that he almost did? He came pretty close.
Trump actually offered a vision. Make America great again. Mamdani offered a vision. A New York City you can afford. So people took a
Except it's not a New York City you can afford. It's a New York City we'll pay for. I get what she's getting at. That there's a vision. Hope and change. Remember that? Hope and change. Build back better. The losers always have those too. I don't know what Cuomo's actual thing was. Hey, I'm here. I'm sure he had a campaign slogan, and it wasn't just "I'm not the other guy." I don't know. Let's look that up. What was Andrew Cuomo's campaign slogan in New York? Or sorry, not Andrew. No, Andrew, right? Yeah. What was Andrew? I need to learn to spell, y'all. Cuomo. Why did I know how to spell Andrew Cuomo better than Andrew? Cuomo's campaign slogan. Proven leadership, ready on day one, Excelsior ever upward. Oh my God, did he really pull an Al Gore from South Park? He went Excelsior. Never mind. All right, that's enough. But again, see, he still had campaign slogan. Proven leadership. That is a good campaign slogan. But anyway, all right, it isn't really selling an idea, right? Like an affordable New York. Yeah, but this is one of the problems with voting. People are so stupid they fall for campaign slogans.
chance on him. People wanted something different. Andrew Cuomo, he had no vision or anything. Oh man, I love tuning into a debate about New York City, and 80% of it is about another f***ing country.
The first foreign visit by a mayor of New York is always considered significant. Where would you go first?
First visit, I would visit the Holy Land.
I would go to Israel.
I'd make my 4th trip to Israel.
Mr. Mamdani.
I would stay in New York City. My plans are to address New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs and focus on that.
Mr. Mamdani.
Yeah, as the mayor of America's largest city, probably no real benefit of foreign interactions. It's not like foreigners build, factories and shit in America. This was such a bullshit. Look, it is a dumbass question because they should be focused on New York politics. Blah 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 blah. But there is a reason to actually interact with world leaders and stuff. New York is bigger than a lot of fucking countries that we deal with. And it's way more advanced than most countries we deal with. There is a good reason for that. But even here, I mean, his answer was designed for dumb people. I'm going to stay in New York. Sure you will.
Honey, can I just jump in? Would you visit Israel?
That was the exact moment I knew Zoran was going to win. Bro was...
Yeah, because hating Israel has become a major talking point on both the left and the right. And the left, who's always been, I don't want to put this, anti-Jew, they are really coming out of their shell now. I've been talking about how anti-Jew they are for 30 years. And like, no, and look at them now. Look at them now.
Just surrounded by NPCs. I love how they're like, where would you go? And Zoran was like, I'm going to stay here. And instead of being...
Do you know why they said the Holy Land? Why would they would go to Israel? Because there's an assload of Jews in New York. Is it meaningful? I don't care if they go to Israel or not, but that's why they did it. If you could trace the lineage of a massive voting bloc to, I don't know, Zimbabwe, then they'd say, I'm going to go to Zimbabwe.
Like, no, Zoran, the question was, where would you go? They're like, why wouldn't you go to Israel? Like, that's the answer to the question. Like, that's just the default answer to that question. His win was very much...
Well, hang on. I need to hear the question again.
That was the...
On that.
Mr. Mamdani, can I just jump in? Would you visit Israel?
That was the...
He asked if he would visit Israel. My follow-up would have been, you're not going to leave New York City for the next 4 years? Because he's there for New York City. And this should have been a question you had, Shoe, when he gives the answer, I'm going to stay in New York. Is he ever going to leave New York? I'll give you a hint. He already has. He hasn't even been sworn in yet, and he went and hung out with the president down in D.C. Apparently, because you can't do stuff for New York outside of New York. Fuck, that fell apart quick from this best candidate in a while. Thank you, Deca. Fuck my eyesight. I can see in the next 10 years a massive wave of young conservative men entering politics as the old GOP withers on the vine. I mean, you don't see the young people in politics because most young people, the way you get your political chops is you start out in your local assembly, your local city council, and then you move on to your state assembly. Then you run for your House seat. And by the time people notice you, you're either already in the House for 4 or 5 years, or you've decided to move up to the Senate. So it's always been that way. The younger people, you don't see the young people until they're much older because they need experience.
Exact moment I knew Zoran was going to win. Bro was just surrounded by NPCs. I love how they're like, where would you go? And Zoran was like, I'm going to stay here. And instead of being like, no, Zoran, the question was, where would you go? They're like, why wouldn't you go to Israel? Like,
but that's not what they said. She asked, will you go to Israel? The question was, where are you going to go first? That was the original question. And then he's like, I'm staying in New York. Yeah, it is kind of weird that on their follow-up, they just said Israel, but there's a reason for that. One, it's been in the news a lot. Two, that's really important to you Democrats for some reason. For some reason, Democrats really fucking hate Jews right now. And this has been a talking point for them ever since, the terrorists killed a bunch of Jews and everybody decided the Jews suck. I'm not quite sure how that works out, but I have an IQ above 10.
That's the answer to the question. Like, that's just the default answer to that question. His win was very much in part a direct response to the affordability crisis that many Americans are facing. So
no. His win was a result of people not understanding that hiring a communist in an affordability crisis is never the way to go. The guy who's promising you, hey, we're going to make everything free, can't do that. It's not a possibility. How is that relevant to New York? How's what? Going to Israel? I answered that a moment ago when I was talking about how many Jews are in New York City. They're a pretty decent sized population there.
what is the GOP's answer to the affordability crisis? Oh, great news, guys. There is no affordability crisis. It doesn't exist. It's all in your head, silly. Need to say.
I'm not going to say it's all in your head, but it is largely in your head. It absolutely is. Have things gotten more expensive? Sure. Has the minimum wage not gone up? No, it hasn't. How many people are making minimum wage these days? I mean, most states have a higher minimum wage than the federal minimum wage. Most people are not making minimum wage, but that's always the comeback to it. Wages haven't gone up. Wages have gone up. Have they kept pace with inflation? No, but that's from the Biden era. And nobody was talking about the affordability crisis in the 2024 election. There were no Democrats out there. The affordability crisis. Instead, they were just telling you that Donald Trump was going to eat babies or some stupid shit. But the affordability crisis is largely made up. It's made up to scare people and lie to a bunch of people who want mommy and daddy to pay for their shit. Home prices are way more expensive than they used to be. Okay. If you built the exact same home that your great-grandma lived in that she bought for 13 cents, how much would it cost today? You're talking about how there's an affordability crisis when you're running around with a phone in your pocket that has a bill that your grandpa would have yelled at your grandma for getting on a long-distance bill. And everybody in your family has one of those. The affordability crisis is largely a spending crisis. People are spending way too goddamn much. And then they're like, I can't afford anything because you're spending too goddamn much. Now, in New York City, they do have an issue with things like housing. It is very expensive to live in New York City, especially if you want to live in Manhattan. Yeah, you want to move out to the other boroughs, you can get it a little bit cheaper, but you don't have to live in New York City. You can see New Jersey from there. You can just go over, but I shouldn't have to I should be able to walk everywhere I go. All of the policies that are supposed to make the affordability crisis better are going to have the exact opposite effect. You can give people free shit, but eventually the bill is going to come due. And there's not just going to be rich people going, well, here, have a little bit more money.
Save money? Simply don't buy your grandmother a Christmas present this year.
Budget, budget, budget. You need a plan. Also, remember, adults don't need gifts, okay? Focus on the people in your life who are age 3 to 18. Grandma doesn't need slippers. If they don't live by you, don't get them a gift. Now's not the time to spend and break the banks.
Zoran's win was also.
You know, I was watching a Caleb Hammer the other day where this came up basically, where the couple wanted to take their kids to, it was a woman actually. I think she'd gotten divorced. Wanted to take her kids to Disney. And he's like, you couldn't afford that trip. And she goes, but I wanted to take him to Disney. Like, but you can't afford that. You didn't have the money for that. And instead, you went out there and put it on some credit. And now you're paying on it indefinitely because the amount you borrowed is going to take 30 years to pay off. But I wanted to take him to Disney. I got to go to Disney as a kid. I went to Disneyland like at least twice when I was young because they used to have what was called Navy Night, where Navy families got incredibly cheap tickets. We didn't go on your normal day. And if we wanted to go, like, Mom, I want to go to Disney, she went, life ain't fair. But now, see, I need to get Grandma a present. If you went to Grandma and be like, I love you, Grandma, but I can't get you something. Grandma's not going to be like, I fucking hate you. Because Grandma grew up in a world where you had to pay for what you bought, where you had to save money. I understand the absurdity of that, Shue. Like, don't buy Grandma a present. And you're right, because Grandma's slippers are what, $20? But to kind of suggest that there's not a spending issue, that people aren't spending ridiculously, is nonsensical. How many people that tell you there's an affordability crisis are doing so holding a fucking Starbucks cup? How much is a Starbucks cup versus making yourself a coffee at home? How many of them are sitting in cars much bigger than they need, wearing fancy jewelry, their nails all done professionally? That's an affordability crisis. Yeah, it is. You can't afford the lifestyle you think you deserve. But that's not an affordability crisis. That's a spending crisis. That's you spending way too much goddamn money.
Basically a direct response to the housing crisis in America. So what is the GOP's response to the pie-in-the-sky, commie gobbledygook that Zoran Mamdani is selling? Surely they have a better solution.
Here we go. The White House is floating this idea. Bill Pulte is saying, thanks to President Trump, we can indeed work on the 50-year mortgage, a complete game changer. How does that work in dollars? Here you go. 30-year fixed mortgage right now. You're paying $2,038 a month, principal and interest on a $400,000 home. At the bottom, under 50 years, you'd save a couple $100 a month at $1,822 principal and interest. That is proposed. Do you like this idea?
I do not like this idea.
Not lowering prices, not.
Yeah, the problem with the 50-year mortgage is the interest on that 50 years is going to offset almost any reduction you're going to get in how much you pay on the principal each year. If we go back and look, let's take that back just a second. There we go. 30-year fixed is $2,038. 40-year is, it only goes down what, $160, something like that. It doesn't go down that far. And then you take it down another 10 years and it only drops $70 because interest is a bitch. This is why the whole credit thing is a bad idea, kids. Stop putting shit on a credit card if you can't pay it off immediately. Stop getting loans you don't fucking need. And then you'll have more money. Because right now, yes, you're going to save a little bit of money on this. If you go from a 30 to a 50 year, you're going to save $216 a month. $216. You're also adding 20 years of debt to yourself. That's asinine. That's fucking asinine. And I get it. I get why people are laughing at this, but that does bring it down. It does. If all you're worried about is being able to afford it a little better, that actually does. That is more affordable. And we got to make things more affordable. Mamdani hasn't actually made any suggestions that make things more affordable. Because somebody still has to pay for that shit. Somebody still has to pay for that free childcare. That free childcare has to be done by a person who's going to need a wage. You haven't fixed anything. You've shifted the problem so it can be dealt with later, which is what the 50-year mortgage is. You're laughing at a solution that is in line with the communist answer.
$100 a month and $1,822 principal and interest. That is proposed. Do you like this idea?
I do not like this idea.
Not lowering prices, not building more housing. No, just being a good little slave to the bank for 50 years. You might.
Okay. Building more housing, that's a great idea, but where? And how much is that actually going to change things in a city like New York? I hear you. You're right. That would be the right way to go. But with all of the regulation, the mafia union control of construction in your city, the mandatory, you got to have poor people living here stuff. How do you actually do that?
As well be a rentoid forever in this case. Like, at least you don't have to fix your own dishwasher. You will own nothing and be happy. Doesn't that sound great, Gen Z? Vote for us. We'll release the Epstein files and finally drain the swamp. Awesome. Finally, justice. Here it comes, the Epstein files phase 1. We got all your favorite E-celebs here. Don't you think that's a...
I can't even fuck with her on this because she's not wrong about this part. I'm not sure how this relates to not having a good answer with New York and the affordability crisis, but she's not wrong that Bondi did this.
Little tacky? I mean, like, this is an international child trap. The Epstein files are on my desk. Oh, that's great. That's great. That's what we've been waiting for. Well? Oh, they don't exist. Wait. What? Yeah, the Epstein files don't exist. They're a Democrat hoax. But you just said, hey, what the f***?
Okay, you just did it. You just did it. Trump has called this a hoax, but just like with COVID, he wasn't saying the Epstein files existing are a hoax or that Epstein is a hoax. He was saying that the Democrats trying to link him to it and it being a Donald Trump problem was a hoax. Shoo, you're better than this.
That's my wallet. Sorry, Israel needs new weapons. Bye.
$216 a month, lower month payment is a fucking manicure a week for these entitled idiots. Buy a nail clipper for $5 and cut 20 years off your mortgage, assholes. Yeah. Do you remember? Did we watch that clip? There was a chick on, I think it was CNN, who said that her local nail salon was going to have to lay off 2 people because of the government shutdown. The government shutdown, these people who used to come in and get their nails done couldn't do it anymore because they weren't getting food stamps. I'm gonna repeat that because it's kind of important. They couldn't get their nails done because you weren't paying for their food anymore. Affordability crisis.
What do you want, Democrat? Vote for us. Why? What do you have to offer? Hey, that's my wallet again. What are you people doing? Sorry. Israel needs new weapons.
Okay. This one really, that actually irritated me, Shu. Because that's not why they're taking your wallet. What do we get? How much do we give Israel each year? Let's how much aid does Israel get from the US? 2.7 billion annually for 10 years. 3 billion raised to a minimum of 3.8 billion. Okay, so we're at $3.8 billion a year. You guys want to take a guess on how much we spend on entitlements? Anybody want to hazard a guess on that? You want to hazard a guess on if it's in the $1 billion range? If it's in the single billion digit? I'll help you out. No, it's not. So it's several $1 trillion. You know that affordability stuff you want to do? All that's coming. That's where that money goes. We could take 3.8 billion. We could take back that entire 3.8 billion, and it's not going to make a dent in what Mamdani wants to spend just in New York. Me want honeycomb. You know, I was never a huge fan of honeycombs. They weren't that good. How you doing, Satsu?
Bye. The Epstein files are a really big deal. This is not a partisan issue. You should absolutely care about an
Except it was a partisan issue. The Democrats did not give a rat's ass about Epstein till about 6 months ago when they saw a couple of people online who turns out probably were from India out there going, the Epstein files. And they thought, ooh, this could be a win for us against Trump. This is what I told you guys. Absolutely release the Epstein files, but I don't want to hear a fucking Democrat talk about it because none of them have been talking about it until they thought they could beat Trump with it. That's when it suddenly became an issue. Go ahead, go back and look. Show me how many Democrats in the 2024 election were running on getting the Epstein files out there. Show me their tweets demanding Biden's Justice Department release the Epstein files. It's absolutely a partisan issue because Democrats made it one. They could have been on board the whole time. They could have been pushing Joe all 4 years, and whoever was running the auto pen could have been like, okay, fuck it, we'll do it.
international child trafficking, a blackmail operation consisting of the most powerful people in the world. And anyone telling you to move on is coping, gaslighting, or in on it. If whatever is in there is so damning that it is a national security risk, the people deserve to know. Like, I don't know about you, but if we are paying taxes to a bunch of satanic pedophiles, I would like to know that is.
Careful with that. You're going to end up arrested or sued like Alex Jones. I do. I want to see all the Epstein files. I think they should all be out without redactions, 100%. I just don't think that they're going to have the amount of information people want. What we've seen so far, even the guy who Epstein himself said to him, "I'm your wingman." There's nothing in there that suggests the guy was actually banging little kids. He just liked young women. He liked the, what do they call it? Barely legal. What a gross fucking term. Why is that a thing? But there's literally no the only revelation that came out was that a member of Congress, a delegate from the Virgin Islands, was texting Epstein during the Cohen hearing up on the Hill. And did you guys see Jamie Raskin talking about that? Their whole excuse for that was, hey, she was talking to a constituent. Yeah, how is Steve, the local janitor in that in the Virgin Islands, did he get to text her too? Was he texting her during the Cohen thing? But their answer was literally, she's his delegate. Except she's from the Virgin Islands, and as far as I know, his residency was in Florida, or New York. She has no voting power in the House, and even if his little island is part of the Virgin Islands, what he was doing was coaching her on what to ask. This was not a constituent thing where there was a mom worried about the way the legislation was going to affect her and her kids. But that's how it got played off. I'm sure since you're worried about this, that you're going to pay attention to the fact that literally nothing has come out of the 23,000 files that the Republicans released. Everybody thinks that they're like Epstein had some Al Capone-esque logbook with all of the people who were banging little kids on his island. If there is that, I do want to see it. I just don't think it exists. I think if it did exist, it got burned a long time ago.
Information I would like to know. Like, I already know we're doing that, but I would like some confirmation. Okay, so literally as I am filming this, Trump is saying he is releasing the Epstein files. So I guess they weren't a hoax. I'm going to be...
You just insinuated that he was hiding it because he was involved. What he was saying about it being a hoax wasn't that the files themselves were a hoax, that the Democrats trying to turn this into a political issue was a hoax. That's what he was talking about. Again, just like when he said COVID is a hoax, He wasn't saying that just COVID itself didn't exist. Don't you use ground news? Shouldn't you have a better understanding from the two different sources? I'm being harsher to her than I expected to in this one. Still love you, Shoe.
So honest, I have no idea what the is going on, you guys. I'm sure when this video gets posted, there's already going to be more things that have happened. Also, Mike Johnson apparently said they need to make changes to the files to make sure we, quote, don't do permanent damage to the political system. If releasing the Epstein files would do damage to the political system, then so be it. Then it deserves.
Well, yes and no. Depends on what that kind of damage is. Shoe uses CNN. No, I mentioned Ground News because it's one of her sponsors. It might have even been her sponsor for this video. There are times unexpected consequences, like just release everything. One of the things people want is the grand jury testimonies, which typically are kept under seal for all cases. It's not because it's Epstein or there's powerful people involved. It's just grand juries are typically, under seal. Anyway.
Deserves to be damaged. It deserves to be destroyed. Just release the files. After all, if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear.
Again, that's not entirely true. The idea that because you don't want to answer something, you don't want to acknowledge something, that's you hiding, that's not necessarily true. But anyway.
Isn't that right, government? But it wasn't just the Epstein files thing that has MAGA feeling a little demoralized.
I hate this because people have me arguing on the side of some discretion. Look, if we want to just release everything the government does at all times, fine, do it. I think congressmen should be mic'd at all times. But I seem to be the only one on that bandwagon, and everyone else just wants transparency when it's their pet fucking issue. They have no problem with keeping stuff secret when it's, we don't need to get into all that. And I'm not saying Shoe here. I honestly don't know her opinion on this. But tons of people seem to only care about transparency when they think it's going to embarrass the other guy. I want these motherfuckers recorded. Body cam. I want body cam 24/7 on all our elected leaders. All times. If that means we got to hear him take a dump, that means we got to hear him take a dump. Because I don't trust these little fuckers as far as my cripple ass could throw them.
Lately.
And does that mean the H-1B visa thing will not be a big priority for your administration? Because if you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of foreign workers.
You also do have to bring in talent.
We have plenty of talented people here.
No, you don't.
We don't have talented people here.
No, you don't have. You don't have certain talents, and people have to learn.
We've talked about this a few times on this channel, actually very recently in the male loser epidemic video. The no talented Americans thing is a myth pushed on us by corpos and billionaires, so they can hire foreign workers who will work for less money and won't unionize. Worker drone.
We went over this yesterday. What is he joking? No, look, again, there are reasons for H-1B visas. The problem with H-1B visas is how they're being used. And yeah, that's a problem. What we need is actual enforcement of the visa applications and what they're supposed to be doing here. We had Disney actually use the H-1B visas to bring in foreigners who were trained by people who knew they were going to get fired when those people got trained. That is a misuse of the system. That is not a situation where we couldn't get the workers. We just didn't have the talent. It literally was Disney going, we can get these guys much cheaper. And in that case, Disney should have been massively fined for what they did, and those people should have been sent home. Lever Action, thank you so much for that feminist $12. I'm trying to catch up by watching at 2x speed. Shoe sounds like a chipmunk, and you sound like you smoked a big bag of crack. Wow. Nice. That should be a cartoon. Chipmunk and big bag of crack man. Anyway. But there are places where H-1Bs are necessary. But here's the thing with the H-1Bs. Even when we bring in a foreign worker to fill one of those spots, like a legit company can't find anybody worth hiring, they need to get this. This is an integral part of their business. That should be a temporary holding place until an American can get that job. Am I wrong on that part at least? Can we agree that it should be a holding place rather than a permanent spot for them? And if you think it's just about them not being able to unionize, as Hassan mentioned yesterday, unionization in the United States is 10%. It's low as fuck. Most companies are not worried about unionization. That's not what it's strictly the wage. That's it. The wage, and as Hassan pointed out, the productivity. Because these guys know if they lose their jobs, they got to go home. So they need to do a good job. Is that fair? Probably not. It's there's at least the hint of extortion in there, sure. But maybe if you didn't have Americans being like, I need $100 billion a year, and I'm only working from 8 to 2 on Saturday afternoons in months that end in Q. And then maybe they wouldn't be looking at people who actually want to do their goddamn jobs. You have a whole push in America. This is a real thing. Quiet quitting. Do you know what quiet quitting is? I'm going to do my job. That's it. That's what quiet quitting was. I'm going to do my job. You had that chick, remember that chick crying because she had to serve coffee for 8 hours. I had to pour coffee for, oh my God. And one time, I poured a little too much, and I had to pour it out a little bit, and I strained my forearm. I get it. It's easy to blame corporations because they want to make money and they want people who are going to work, and we live in America where the non-greedy people want all the money and don't want to work. I mean, that was Mamdani's whole thing. Like, we're just going to do everything for you. But can't you kind of see the corporation's point? Can't you kind of see why they would want somebody other than Americans working for them? I know. Americans are the hardest working people, and fuck you. We might have been at one point, but there's no more pull yourself up by your bootstraps. It's now, here, let me give you somebody else's dollar so that you can sit on your fat ass and watch TV and scroll Instagram. I didn't realize this one was going to piss me off so much. Still love you, Shoe. I just think you're wrong here.
Who will work under the coercion of deportation, essentially creating infinite scab labor. Even though there are so many Americans in
with what you just said, I do want to know how many H-1B visas have been used in places that were even threatening to unionize. Because the majority of things that I've seen unionizing these days is people working for fast food. That's where they all want to unionize now because the unions have lost their clout everywhere else because people see what unions do to businesses. Where are all these people who were going to unionize until Raj came over from India?
these fields looking.
Shoe and Monkey should stream together. Shoe has a permanent guest appearance on this anytime she wants. She has an invitation anytime she wants. She just doesn't do live stuff very often.
For jobs. But those spoiled Americans will ask for a living wage so they can live in a 600-foot square apartment. How dare they? We can't do that. So import 1 billion immigrants. After all,
don't tie that to they have not imported 1 billion immigrants in the H-1B visas. And we can even say she's exaggerating there, right? What is the number allowed each year? It's less than 100,000, less than 100,000. So that's not where you're seeing the shit of immigration causing a problem. It's not in H-1B visas. It's in manual labor. It's in construction. It's in under the table work for massive corporations. It's driving the wages down on the low end of the scale, not the high end.
It's good for business.
Folks are not thrilled about this idea of hundreds of thousands of foreign students in the United States.
If we were to cut that in half, which perhaps makes some people happy, you would have half the colleges in the United States go out of business.
So what?
And it's not that I want them, but I view it as a business.
Unfortunately, America does feel like nothing but three.
Well, look, hey, I am all for shutting down a lot of colleges because they're basically useless, honestly. But I don't understand if foreigners are going to come over here and they're actually paying, because as far as I know, the college students have to have the means to take care of everything. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, it's quite historical that people go get educated in other countries. I mean, that's not a new thing. That is 100% different than them staying here after their education. Now, if I remember correctly from that interview, Trump is talking about keeping them here if we educate them to make our society better. But we don't have to do that. We could educate them, take their money, and then kick them the fuck back out. I know. Very exploitative of me. But it's not like we're going to be sending our best and brightest overseas if we bring their kids over here and educate them. Chances are they're going to go back to their home country dumber than when they got here. Just saying. I hate that people keep forgetting that Trump is a businessman. Yeah, well, they don't like that part of him. And I hate that people just don't know who Trump is at all. It's not like he's been private about this shit. Yes, he's a businessman. He wants to make money. He wants to do what's best for business, in his opinion. There's nothing about this guy that really should be shocking folks. I can't believe he's standing up for cheaper labor in business. Anyway.
Corporations in a trench coat. But America is not a business. America is not a corporation. It is a nation. The contrast of what Trump is saying here compared to how he used to talk is staggering.
But he was talking about business there because college is a business. He was being asked about bringing in foreign students, and he said without those students, half of the colleges would have to shut down. That is business. Did you just miss what his point was there?
Trump is saying here, compared to how he used to talk, is staggering. Republicans embracing populism, at least rhetorically, is what gave rise to Donald Trump and fundamentally changed the way Republicans do politics in America. If you go back,
all Trump really did was, yeah, he embraced populism, but he embraced Clintonism. This is what's popular with the people. I'm going to tell them this is what I'm going to do. And for the most part, he has done that. Did Trump I don't remember Trump's campaign rhetoric on H-1Bs. I really don't. I do remember several people, and yeah, there were some who were like, no. And there were others like, hey, we need them. And it is amazing to me that, isn't it kind of weird that it's the businessmen who are like, we need it, and it's the non-businessmen, the people who have, been lawyers or lawyers or lawyers who are like, no, they're never needed ever, ever, ever. Again, how they're used is being used wrong, but the idea of them is not. And same with bringing in college students. If it's being used wrong, fix how it's being used. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Now, if you want to make the case that it's always going to be abused and so therefore we shouldn't do it, I'll get on board with that argument.
back and watch the debates of Donald Trump in 2016, it's crazy.
We should have never been in Iraq. We have destabilized the Middle East. They lied. They said there were weapons of mass destruction. There were none, and they knew there were none.
I'm very curious where she's going with this. I was expecting her to play something about H-1B visas, and she went to him talking about how Iraq was wrong.
Were no weapons of mass destruction.
All right.
I remember being like, damn, that's not how politicians in general really talked at that time. Like, we would see it from Bernie Sanders and maybe like Ron Paul.
Please never use Bernie Sanders and Ron Paul in the same sentence again. That just hurt my soul. I guess what she's just getting at is his populism. Okay, that's fine.
But to get up on stage in a Republican debate in front of Republican donors saying that kind of shit was unheard of, bro.
Not in 2016, it wasn't. In 2016, it had already been decided that the Iraq war was a bad thing and that the way things were going was wrong. And I don't remember that debate specifically. Maybe Jeb was like, no, it was a good thing to do that. But what Trump was saying there was pretty much being said on Fox News at the time. So, okay, that's fine.
Getting booed. Trump won in 2016 by decrying the bloodlust and warmongering of the Republican Party, but also by speaking to the economic woes of the average working class American. Basically saying, I see you, to people who felt like they haven't been seen by either party in a very long time. Like, I
haven't watched this, so I don't know if she's going to do it. Why don't you play a clip of that instead of just telling us what he said? I remember in 2016, a lot of Bernie supporters, after they left Bernie, were like, I'm a libertarian now because this is what libertarians are for. And my only point being that I'd rather see what they said rather than just take your word for it, because while I do mostly trust you, you did just mischaracterize what Trump was talking about. So I'd rather see what he said rather than you just tell me what he said.
people in my life, my neighbors and stuff, that were all like Obama voters, like just flipped to Trump, and now like all of Long Island. Long Island is like the Florida of the Northeast, bro. It is like Trump country there now. Before Trump, oh, my nuggies are here. My nuggies are here. 1 second. 1 second. I must go get my nuggies. It's nuggie time.
Please tell me that your man got you nuggies and that's not a DoorDash delivery of McNuggets on a video where you were talking about the affordability crisis. Please tell me that's what happened there. Your man brought them to you. I hate the term nuggies. Me too. That's some shit that like some 5-year-old should be saying. You're grown. Stop it. But yeah, probably at 5 years old, that's probably like, ooh, that's too baby. Please speak like an adult. But please tell me you didn't just have food delivered to you when you were talking about the affordability issues. Were you trying to make my point for me? How much is the delivery on, let's say she went big, she got a 20 piece. Do they charge by the piece when you do DoorDash? I don't use that stuff because why would I? I live 2 miles from the store. How much did you pay for those nuggets? I mean, she can afford it. Sure, she can, but she's not the only one out there door dashing. There's a ton of people who should never DoorDash who are doing it. Ton of people bringing Uber Eats to the door because they're too fucking lazy to get out of their house and go wait in line for 5 minutes.
34-year-old woman, by the way. Mother, by the way. Before Trump,
all right, at least she acknowledges it. Oko, thank you. Will she stop being a socialist when she sends her kids to pre-K and the supplies she sends with them get redistributed? Probably not. I mean, guys, she has the means. I doubt that would affect her. Dude, I can't. I look at the delivery fees at the end and then just can't. I've never used it. Anybody here use DoorDash or anything on a reg? What is your normal fee for getting something DoorDash to you or Uber Eats to you? If you want Matt Jarbo to deliver you some McNuggets, what's that's going to run you?
Democrats basically relied on talking about how the Republican Party didn't care about the working class. But eventually, the problem for Democrats was the working class didn't care about them. But now it seems like the Republican Party is going back on all of that and becoming the Bush-era neoconservative party again, right as they're winning, embracing—
No, oh God. The most successful electoral president of my lifetime was Ronald Reagan. Much of what the Republicans are returning to is not the neocons of George Bush, which were all about war. They weren't the tax and save folks. No. Neocons are defined by their warlike attitude to spreading United States ideology across the globe by death if necessary. So I'm not trying to be mean here, but Trump is far more Clintonian, and Clinton was definitely stealing from the libertarians who stole from, or who the Republicans stole from, which made Reagan so popular. Anyway, high is $5 to $7 for the fee. Oh, fuck that. Nah, bro. I'll spend the 50 cents in gas to go get it myself.
freaks like Lindsey Graham.
So I just want to say I feel good about the Republican Party. I feel good about where we're going as a nation. We're killing all the right people and we're cutting your taxes. Trump is my favorite president. We've run out of bombs. We didn't run out of bombs in World War II.
Republicans, is that what you want your party to be? Lowering taxes and killing people? We tried that already. To many Republicans, these—
But I'm not against killing people. I'm not. The killing the right people, like the drug runners that are getting killed right now, I'm perfectly okay with that. Absolutely, 100%. I know we're never supposed to be, no, not death. No, sometimes I'm okay with it. Sometimes when you're protecting your country, you need to be like, do not fucking come here. So the funny part though, because Graham is a neocon. He has never heard of a killing that he didn't like outside of the United States, right? Like, hey, those people looked at us funny, and Lindsey's like, bomb them, kill them all, fuck them. I hate them. So he's probably a bad example of this. But even there, he was talking about how he's killing the right people, not just going on endless stupid wars like being in Afghanistan for 20 fucking years with we were just giving money away. And I'm not using that rhetorically. We were literally in Afghanistan just giving money away because it had to be spent and we had nothing to spend it on. And so we gave it to warlords. Like, have some money. War itself, I know everybody says, war's bad. Yeah, but sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes killing is necessary. If somebody's coming at you trying to kill you and you kill them back before they can get you first, you defended yourself. So situations do matter. And when it comes to killing the drug runners, which I'm assuming is what he was talking about there, maybe he was talking about Soleimani, or I don't know who he's talking about when he says we're killing the right people, but he's talking about actually going against the people who are a threat to us. And so, yes, in that respect, Shoe, I'm okay with killing and lowering taxes because those are two things that if they're bringing that poison in here, I'm okay with getting rid of them. And no, my tax dollars shouldn't be going to pay for some chick to get her hair did. Sorry, it was nails. It wasn't even the full hair. It was just the nails. To get her nails did by using my money to buy food for her kids.
solution to the affordability crisis wreaking havoc on Americans is simply trusting the free market, working hard, and if that doesn't work, they bust out all reliable.
If you're a young person and you can't afford to live here, then maybe you should not live here. I mean, that is a real thing. Yeah, I know that we've now grown up in a society that says that you deserve to live where you...
I should have known this would piss off Shoe.
grew up, but the reality is that the history of America is almost literally the opposite of that.
Ah yes, the classic. Just move. Just move from Economic Zone 67 to Economic Zone 69. I don't
Hey, this thing we've done throughout history that's worked out pretty well and has given us all the big cities that are big cities now. Don't do that. You deserve to be where you are. Yeah, just move. Nobody likes to hear that, but it's not just move. It's move to a place that is growing economically. Go take advantage of that instead. And this is, people were doing this shit when they had to travel by horse and buggy. When, in order to contact the family you left behind, you had to write them a letter and the Pony Express had to deliver that shit by horseback. Now you can literally just pull up your phone and talk to that person face to face. And we act like moving is the hardest thing in the world. It used to be, at one time you'd move and you had to chop down trees to build your house. It was a whole lifestyle change. And yeah, Ben is right here. You don't have to like it. But why do you deserve to live in that place if you can't afford to live in that place? The argument, okay, I don't want to say the argument she's making because she has, I didn't give her time to make her argument yet. But the argument that I shouldn't have to move is you saying I deserve to be here. Well, if you can't afford to be here, what makes it a deserving thing? I shouldn't have to leave. I shouldn't have to go somewhere where there's economic growth. I should get to stay here in a place with rent 4 times what I can afford.
know, man. Maybe some people actually like where they live. Maybe they...
So? Like...
want to make their community better. This is like the libertarian version of just deal with it when you talk to...
They want to make their community better. The community that they can't afford to live in. I'm going to make my community better by being a drain on resources. Come on, Shoe. Come on. What a bullshit talking point.
Leftists about crime. Like, no, we shouldn't just deal with it. We shouldn't just move. Maybe we can make the cities in our country livable and safe. Maybe better things are possible, actually. My husband...
Okay, I hate to be the one to tell you this, but eventually when you pack enough people in one small space, there's gonna be problems that if you spread those people out wouldn't be a problem. No, prisons aren't a problem. Prison overcrowding is a problem. See what I'm saying? Just fucking move. I don't want to move. I want to make my community better. You leaving will make that community better because you're a drain on the resources. Not Shoe. She's well off. She's fine. But the kind of people that Ben's talking about here. We've had major mass migrations in the United States of people moving, being told, hey, this is where the promised land is. Come move this way. And people move up that way and they get a nice middle-class lifestyle and they get to have the American dream. And she's like, but I like where I live. Well, then suck it up, buttercup. Those are your choices. But you want a third choice. Somebody else pays for it. Well, why should somebody else have to pay for it? The government is not your mommy and daddy. They're not there to make sure that you have all of your needs met. What was it Hassan said yesterday? Government is there to elevate the human experience or some stupid gay commie bullshit. It's not what the government's for. It's for infrastructure. It's for defense. It's for public safety. It's not for, hey, we're going to watch your children for you. We're going to give you food, give you housing, watch your kid, all you have to do is nothing, because we don't want to inconvenience you at all.
Husband and I moved away from our families because of his job, and it f***ing sucks. It sucks raising kids without an extended family around. Say hi to grandma on FaceTime. Not normal, not natural.
Do you know how many times I saw my grandparents growing up? You know how many times? I'm a Navy brat, Shoe. I met my grandmother on my dad's side for the first time when I was 8. It's the first time I met her. So when we moved to Cadillac, Michigan. And in retrospect, I wish I had even less interaction with that horrible bitch. May she rest in hell. But on my mom's side, I saw my grandparents maybe half a dozen times when we lived in San Diego, and then never again. You get to FaceTime with yours? How fucking horrible that you have to suffer that way. There is part of me that honestly believes everybody should have to serve in the military, and not because of national pride or any of that, but because I think kids in America would be much better off if they were forced to move every so often. Because people who grow up in the same community their whole life, they don't. These are the people who tell you can't criticize other countries if you don't go there, but they'll tell you how much Alabama sucks, although they've never been there. You know what I mean? I think you get a very unique perspective when you're a military brat and you're forced to make new friends every 2 to 5 years that you're not going to get anywhere else. Growing up, the idea of seeing grandma was a pipe dream. Like, oh, grandma wrote me a letter. I had to read what grandma wanted to say to me. Oh my God, we have to FaceTime. It's like she doesn't even exist anymore. Now, when you're talking about the extended family, look, we relied on extended family. Like my dad used to babysit for us from time to time. And I get that. But you're talking about just, we only get to see him. You're wealthy enough that I'm guessing, other than like a date night, you're really not needing to take the kids. And Mom, can you take the kids? I got to pull a shift at Walmart tonight. Do you get the entitlement you're even putting off right here? You guys moved for his job, which I'm assuming means that he's making good money at his job. Otherwise, why would you leave for a less pay? But this is peak third or first world problems here, and not just first world problems, first world 21st century problems. We need to add that adjective to it.
When I was growing up, it was like aunts and uncles and cousins and grandparents were just coming in and out of my house, like bringing over food, like, hey, I got something.
I find it mildly ironic that last week Monkey was arguing for property rights, then this week he's just move. There's nothing ironic about those. When you move, I believe you should have your property rights, and the government shouldn't be able to take your land from you. I'm missing any of irony there.
God, I would be babysat by my cousins and my aunts. And because we moved away, my kid won't have that. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's one reason many young people are putting off having children.
We have the polls for these things. I haven't seen mom can't watch my kid in any of those polls on why they're not having kids. My guess, Shu, is that you were watched by your cousins and stuff because it was a necessity. Maybe your parents just wanted to go out that night. I don't know. But I doubt many people, especially when they're not moving away. They're not moving away. So why would that be an issue for them? All right, go ahead.
Complete lack of community, the lack of a village. If you can't afford to live where your family lives, just move to fucking Gary, Indiana, where there's nobody around and no jobs and no family and no friends. But hey,
nobody's telling you to move where there's no jobs. You missed Ben's point completely. His point was move where the economic growth is. He didn't say, hey, go be homeless in Gary, Indiana. But come on, Shoe. I know you're trying for humor and stuff, but usually it's grounded in some reality. There are jobs you don't want the lifestyle. Yeah, look, if you move somewhere that's cheaper to live, then chances are you're not going to make as much as you did in the bigger city. But there's a good chance that your money's going to go further there. Just saying. My mom's side of the family lived in poor area. Yes, we were together in a poor area. It's, in my experience, again, I'm a Navy brat, so it's different for us. I did not know my cousins growing up. I knew 2 cousins on my mom's side because they lived in the same city as us, because their dad was in the military too, and our dads got stationed in San Diego together. They weren't even on the same ship, but they were close enough that mom and my aunt could hang out and we'd see our cousin. Of all of my cousins, remember, mom had 5 sisters, dad had 6 brothers. I maybe got to hang out with my cousins, all of them together, and not any one of them is what I mean. At any one point, I got to see or hang out with one of my cousins, right? And you take all of the times that happened, maybe 20 in my first 20 years of life, maybe 20. I have cousins on my mom's side I've never seen in real life. I've seen pictures of them, never seen them in real life. They lived in Northern California. We lived in Southern California, Michigan, Chicago, Michigan, Virginia. We didn't get together a whole lot.
at least you can afford a house there. That's not how life should work, Ben. Maybe take a step back and try to understand.
Why not? You don't just get to say that's not how it should work. Answer why not. Let's take this instead of your city, right? Let's move it down to a smaller thing. Your parents' house. Let's change, because that's basically what you're asking for. Government be my mommy and daddy and provide for me. Let's take this down to your parents' home. Your parents are like, you're 50. You need to get the fuck out of my house and go find a job. Is that not how life should work? Oh, it shouldn't, because you're 50, but you get my point. When it's somebody else's money that's on the line here, should they be able to be like, nah, you can leave? Let's say you live in mom and dad's house, right? And mom and dad decide that they want to use half of the backyard for a really nice garden. But you don't like that because you like the wide open space so that you can go run around with your drool bib and helmet on and pretend you're flying. And if they take half of that away, it's going to cut into your enjoyment. And mom and dad are like, if you don't like it, move out. Should that be how life works? Should they be like, hey, if you don't like, or should they cater to you and be like, well, little Timmy, no, let's be real. Little Steve wants to run around like he's an airplane. So I guess it's what he wants. It's what he wants. Life shouldn't work where he is inconvenienced in any way whatsoever. You don't have a right to live in your city and have everything taken care. You don't have a right to an affordable city. What kind of stupid fucking commie shit is that? I shouldn't have to move. Don't be homeless. I don't give a shit.
Am I doing bird hands too much? You guys have made me so insecure about the fucking bird hands thing ever
My wife does it so much. It just makes me giggle every time.
since this meme. Okay, listen, I'm a woman, okay? We are programmed to scold children. And when no children are around, We scold people on the internet, okay? Anyway, Nick Fuentes is a far-right commentator and a controversial figure to say the least. But his main topic he covers is Israel, which is an extremely hot topic that many other right-wing commentators.
Oh, okay. His new most common thing is Israel. How dumb black people are, how race mixing is like bestiality. What are some of his greatest hits? By the way, his latest thing, Shoe, you'll probably like. He's going commie.
Seem to not want to touch. And the rare
And before anybody's like, no, he's not. Yes, he is. He actually put out a video where he said that the right needs to give up the free market. There's a guy who also is so in love with Stalin that he remembers dates in his own life based on the fact it happened on Stalin's birthday. Quote, I'm a fan.
Times they do touch it. It's them telling you not to talk about it, questioning why you care so much, or shape-shifting into the woke.
I don't care if you talk about Fuentes. I just want you to be honest about Fuentes. That was the problem with the Tucker Carlson interview. It wasn't that he platformed Nick. It's that he platformed Nick without giving any real pushback. The same goddamn criticism I had of trigonometry yesterday.
Mob they fought against for so many years, calling you names, calling for you to be censored. What's funny is they didn't care about any of Nick Fuentes's rants on like race or women. They only started caring when his rants on Israel were blowing up. Nick,
say what you just said again. Nobody cared about him when nobody was paying attention to him. It became a thing when his anti-Jew stuff, wait for it, started blowing up. It's almost like people talk about whatever is popular at the time. Like people are like, I don't know this Nick Fuentes guy, but I'm going to talk about him to people who don't know who he is and won't care. Isn't going to get you any clicks. They didn't care about one. I've been shitting on Nick for at least half a fucking decade, and I have covered his racist shit, his anti-Jew shit, his gay shit. Let's just call it what it is. His latent homosexuality. Talked about all of this shit about this guy. But let's just be honest. The reason that this blew up and they suddenly cared is because it blew up. Because somebody like Tucker Carlson brought this asshole on and did not challenge him in any real way. In fact, agreed with him that the feudalist system is the best system of governance.
recently did an interview with Tucker Carlson, which completely ignited the MAGA civil war that was brewing on the right for some time now. It got so ridiculous that even
let's take a break from this because she just mentioned the MAGA civil war, right? Let's see what CNN is talking about. Oh, look at this. Trump and the GOP base.
So is the president losing Republicans?
No. Look, this is still Donald Trump's Republican Party, and we can see it here. It's like a...
There it is. Donald Trump, according to the polls, has the same approval rating among Republicans as he had 6 months ago, before the ignited civil war of the last month. And if you go further in this video, you get to see this graph. Of the three presidents who've had 2 terms in this century, Bush, Obama, and Trump, Trump is still more popular with his base than Obama was with his or Bush was with his. This is a bunch of the whole right civil war. This is one of the reasons I like what Elon Musk has done with allowing you to see where people, what region they're from. I don't want to know your address. But a lot of these anti-MAGA folks that have popped up, literally they're from India. They're people who are just out here causing shit. And the reality is most people aren't playing along. It's right there on your screen. Lever Action, thank you again for that feminist $12. I have a friend who says she can't afford the cost of living to buy a home, but she has zero impulse control with spending. DoorDash, expensive energy drinks and snacks, constantly upgrading her gaming computer, money burning a hole in her pocket. Yeah, that's the problem with most young people. It's not an affordability crisis. It's a I don't know how to spend wisely crisis. It's a budgeting crisis. It's not what they're telling us it is. But it plays well with people who want to be victims, man. Absolutely. All right, let's take this back so we can hear about the civil war that's not happening.
The MAGA civil war that was brewing on the right for some time now. It got so ridiculous that even Chuck Schumer went on the Senate floor and called for a disavowal of Nick Fuentes. Sir, with all due
she's going to rip into him for this, and he deserves to be ripped into this. But this is why Fuentes is a thing right now. It's not because he's what was it? They told us Tucker and Megyn Kelly told us the most popular streamer with young men. He's got 5 million viewers over on Rumble who don't actually watch his show. If you go to his main show, he gets about like 150,000 views on total for a video. If you go to his channel where they put clips, he gets less than 10,000. He's not as popular as they want you to believe. Who benefits from Nick Fuentes being tied to the right? Is it anybody on the right being tied to a guy who is a clear racist, anti-Jew, anti-woman flamer in the closet? Who benefits from that? Now, go back and look at what happened with the Epstein files. Remember that? The left, oh my God, we got to get this. Who did that benefit? Did it benefit any of the victims? No, because nothing's changing for them. Once we finally got what files we have so far, did we learn any names of people who had molested children? No. Who benefited from that? The left. Who's benefiting from yeah, exactly, Stalin-loving Nick Fuentes being the face of the right? The Democrats. It sets up a thing where Nick gets to be brought up by fucking Chuck Schumer, the leader of the Democrats in the in the United States fucking Senate. The leader of the Democrats in the Senate got to get up there and go, we need to disavow Nick Fuentes, this guy who gets 150,000 views on Rumble. Out of the 350 million Americans and 8 billion people on the planet, we really need to pay attention to old Nicky Fuentes, who hasn't been a thing for several years because everybody spotted what he was right away. And only the most retarded of tardies stayed on board with him. Anyhow.
respect, none. Why do politicians need a resolution in the Senate to disagree with a citizen? Hello.
So they can feel like they did something good. So that they can be like, I disavow this guy. This Senate from Schumer, or sorry, the Senate, this resolution from Schumer in the Senate does nothing. It is a non-binding resolution. They pass these kind of things all the time. Most people don't even pay attention to what they're voting on. They're like, yeah, whatever. Fuck it. We hate that guy too. But it gives him a chance to be like, I said he was bad. Do you see this Republican? Do you see this Republican? Did Trump disavow him today? There's been a lot made on the left about Nick Fuentes going to the White House. Do you guys remember that? Remember when Trump invited him to the White? Oh, wait, no, he didn't. He invited Kanye, and that little dick sucker came with him. He snuck in on Kanye's ball sack.
Oh, I have gathered you all here today to disavow Hitler Bussy 420. People can't afford groceries, Charles. Ben Shapiro, in particular, has spent the last few months extremely confused and angry about Zoran Mamdani and Nick Fuentes becoming popular in the mainstream, all while his numbers continue to drop. I honestly don't think he understands what is happening here, so I am going to explain.
I think he understands what is happening. He's just confused why nobody's paying attention to common sense. I think that is the more accurate way to put that. If you are an intelligent person and you're looking at the rise of Nick Fuentes and Zoran Mandami, you should be confused because it doesn't make sense in the real world. But let's hear your version.
To you, Ben, what exactly is going on here?
Okay.
The American dream does not exist anymore for most people. Young people followed advice that worked for older generations, and it got them nowhere. Young people are tired of this stale, moldy, old, dead consensus that has dominated American politics for a very long time. The one that dragged us into all these foreign wars and sold us out for some cheap plastic shit from China. Young people.
What philosophy specifically? Are you talking about work hard and things will go well for you? You can't talk about that and not talk. Again, you didn't answer, so let's take that as an example. Where's the American dream lost? Is it in the loss of unions? No. Is it in the rise of college debt that they don't need for degrees they can't use? Maybe. Is it in people being, I don't want to put this exactly. I don't want to say canceled. Let's just say people being canceled over a joke some bitch heard them say to a friend of theirs who wasn't offended. And now they have to walk on eggshells lest they be fired for having a sense of humor at work. What all has changed? Is it that the method of hard work has changed, or is it everybody's taken what hard work used to be and been like, I don't want to work hard. You want me to work 40 hours a week? Are you insane? I want to be like my grandpa and afford what he got. I don't want to work the hours he did. I don't want to work my 2 jobs. How dare what? 2 jobs to get what I want? Are you serious? What has changed? Is it actually that those things don't work anymore because they don't work, or is it because the bitch ass children of today have been taught that what they want is the most important thing in the world? Nothing else matters. I mean, you said it yourself just a little bit ago with the I don't want to move. You can't afford to be here, but I don't want to. Try that in a hotel where you can't afford to pay the bill anymore. See what they do. What are you going to do? They, hey, I want to be here. The ideas still work in a sane world. We just don't live in a sane world anymore because everybody's a goddamn entitled little shit. I shouldn't have to work. I shouldn't have to work. My wife had a baby. I deserve 6 weeks off. Your grandpa wasn't even at the fucking hospital when your dad was born. He was out in the fucking coal mines digging. He was building a girder somewhere. He was going to fucking work and being like, good luck, sweetie. I'll see you tonight. Now they're like, I need 6 weeks off so I can lactate with my wife. Okay, so how do you get people to vote for you and believe in your ideas in this new world? Honesty. It's the only way to do it, but nobody's willing to be honest. Be honest about what the world is. Be honest about what's caused the problems.
People are tired of being told to sit down and shut up and pledge allegiance to the free market in a country that seems to not give a shit about them, as well as a foreign country they have absolutely no connection to.
Okay, she's talking about Israel again. Okay, that's fine. Again, 3.8 billion. The country gives no fucks about you. Let's round up 4 billion for the Jews. 4 billion for Israel. Several trillion for entitlement programs in the United States. 4 billion. This is like your mom giving you a house, paying for your phone and making sure you're fed and putting clothes on your back. And you go, Mom, I want to go to Disney World. And she goes, I can't afford that. And you go, you gave Aunt Pam $10 last week. You just don't love me. You don't care about me at all. You care about Aunt Pam more than you care about me.
Long establishment hacks and establishment shills looked at the issues bothering the people and just kind of dismissed them. Can't afford to live where you grew up? Just move. Don't like that the toothpaste is locked behind plexiglass? Just deal with it. Think it's kind of f***ed up how you work 40 hours a week and still can't afford to pay rent? What are you, some kind of communist? You don't like funding a genocide with your tax dollars? What are you, anti-Semitic? If you don't
There was no genocide. Stop ruining that word.
address the issues of the people will gravitate towards those who are addressing those issues. It's not.
Hey, Shoe, do you know what Jonestown is? Those people gravitated to somebody who thought that was going to take care of them and address their issues in a way the government hadn't. Do you know what happened to Jonestown? We have a reality problem in this country. We have a reality problem where the richest nation in the world, you have people bitching about how horrible they have it. You have people in this world who live in mud huts. That is the height of industrialization, is mud huts. It wasn't Kool-Aid, guys. It was Flavor Aid. Give credit where it's due. And you guys are whining that you might have to move to a duplex in what did she say? Gary, Indiana. You don't have real problems. That's the issue here. And this is the issue that government will always have when it is the same one that the Romans had. It's anytime you have people who are promising you stuff, we're going to take care of you. You guys don't have a retirement plan, so we're going to give you Social Security. Well, the next guy comes along and goes, hey, that retirement isn't working out too well for you. We're going to give you even more of it. And the next guy comes along and goes, that fucker only gave you this much. I'm going to give you twice as much. And then the next, do you see where we're going with this? We have an entitled society. It used to be, this support system you need from your family. You shouldn't have to move away from them because of the support system for your family. The government's doing that for you now. You just want even more of it. It actually used to be that your family would take care of it. You couldn't afford some food, mom might slip you $20, or you'd go down to the church and get food from them. And now the government's doing all of that for you. How has that helped out? Because you guys are bitching and whining like it's the worst time in the history of humanity. Nobody's ever had to deal with this. I could only get this small latte today. Don't be one of those people that beat up on the Roman Empire. There were many reasons. There were, but part of it is absolutely the politicians promising more and more shit. That absolutely happened. Look it up. Don't take my word for it.
Mamdani's fault he won. It's yours. It's not Nick Fuentes' fault he's popular. It's yours. The tragedy.
Now, if you mean because people are stupid and don't understand reality and are whining about problems that aren't problems, I agree with you. Mamdani won because of that person. Mamdani and Fuentes are as popular as they are because they tapped into stupidity. I know we're not supposed to say that. You're not supposed to call people stupid. That's mean. It's stupid. It's absolutely stupid. Nick Fuentes whining about how much we give Israel. And you want to say these people they can't afford the grocery bills. Okay. 330 million people, 350-ish million people in the United States, $4 billion. What? Everybody gets a couple grand? Every man, woman, and child gets a couple grand. How does that improve their life for more than a couple weeks at most? This is what I'm talking about with paying attention to the real problems. Should we be giving money to Israel? Of all the ways we waste money, that's one of my least concerning ones because I don't hate Jews. But in the grand scheme of how our government spends $7 trillion a year. $7 trillion. And you're worried about that $4 billion to the Jews. And you think that's going to what? Change your grocery prices? That's going to bring down your rent? Remember, that's for the whole year. That's not an ongoing monthly thing where if you divide it out and I'm not doing the math, but let's say it comes out to $1,000 a person and you got 5 people in your house. So that's $5,000 for the year. For the year. Is that a lot of money to the individual? Sure. Is it going to last more than a couple of days with the way Americans spend? Well, not if they want their nuggies. Not if they want their flat screen TV. Not if they go to your local Walmart today. Just go to your local Walmart and walk down their action alleys. See how much stuff that is sitting there is necessary to human life. And I'm not even talking about like basic needs, but like there's somebody at home right now just going, man, I wish I had a TV. Those don't even exist. Look up the way they decide whether or not people are poor. Look how they decide it. One of the things to decide how poor a country is whether or not individual homes have washers and dryers. Whether or not they have televisions. Every poor person in America qualifies as rich everywhere else in the world. I got like 6 TVs right now. I am staring at 2. I have 2 screens here. I just use televisions because they're cheaper than, well, not anymore. Monitors have come down. But when I got them, it was cheaper than buying 2 monitors. These people are popular because they're selling excuses to lazy, stupid people. That's why they're popular. And in Fuentes' case, he's not even all that popular. He is popular very much the way Kamala was. Somebody decided, hey, we need this person. And again, it was Democrats because they want to smear Republicans. Anyway, I really should give her the chance to see. This is what I was talking about, how they make my job easy when I'm responding to somebody. Because I'm off on a whole tangent about this whole thing based on like 2 words she said. All I need is the spark, and my flame is as bright as Nick's.
The idea of Ben Shapiro is that he led a life worshiping the free market, only to lose in the free marketplace of ideas. Now, with all this neocon rhetoric coming out of the GOP,
is it a free marketplace of ideas? I mean, I guess you could make that argument because nobody's shutting Ben up. But when even Nick Fuentes, this right winger, is pushing communism, is it really a free market of ideas? It should be. And Ben, get better at. But remember, with Ben, Shoe, you might have some issues with him. You didn't really make any arguments against the guy. But when it comes to like Fuentes and his crew, they don't care what Ben actually says. They care about that little tiny beanie on his head. They're like, he's got a Jew beanie. He's evil.
Are the Democrats going to pick up the populist ball that they are fumbling? Are they actually going to get their shit together? Well, they are trying because they have written an article called Deciding to Win, where after interviewing over 300,000 American voters from both parties, they may have finally discovered the secret to winning.
To give ourselves the best chance to win, we recommend the following changes to our...
My guess is going to be promise people a bunch of stuff. Promise people to give them, to take all their problems away.
Our approach. Democrats need to 1. Focus our messaging on an economic program centered on lowering costs, growing the economy, creating jobs, and expanding the social safety net. 2.
Isn't it? Wait. Can we talk about that for just a second? They're going to lower costs, grow the economy, create jobs, and expand the social safety net. Why do you need that last one if you've done the other 3? See, this is what I'm talking about. You're selling moronics to morons. Oh, yeah, that makes sense to me. I'm going to give me a good job and live on welfare. I'm not the only one who caught that, right? I'm not the only one who, wait, one of these things is not like the other. Lower costs, grow the economy, create jobs, expand the social safety net. Well, you shouldn't need that with the others. Unless what you're trying to do is grow a group of workers who still have to rely on the social safety net.
Lowering costs, growing the economy, creating jobs, and expanding the social safety net. 2. Advocate for popular economic policy.
How can we win? Say the popular stuff. Oh, dear God. Oh, dear God. Yeah, I mean, that's not wrong if what you're looking for is winning, but this isn't about winning, or this shouldn't be about winning. This should be about leadership and making a better country, right? But this is about winning. So what that popular economic message is unimportant. I mean, technically, if they're like, no, one guy should have all the money and that's the most popular thing, they'd go along with it. Advocate for the most popular. Hey, let me help you out, Democrats. I could make this real short for you. How can you win? Advocate for all the popular stuff. Exactly, understatement. Popular, not viable. Yep. Because voters are stupid. And even if the same guy lies to them over and over and over again, they will elect him over and over. It doesn't matter, Democrat or Republican. The congressional approval rating has been in the toilet for decades. I don't know what it's at right now, but I remember there was one time it was at less than 25%. I think it was like 22%. Was there a massive shift in Congress that year? No. Because everybody thinks it's the other guy's asshole who's causing the problems. I hate Congress, but not my congressman. He's the one good one. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, just advocate for all the popular stuff. You'll win everything.
Moderate our positions where our agenda is on.
Wait, did she skip one? Apparently she did. LF, thank you so much. The social safety net can't be expanded because it's already running out of money, and money from the rich is also limited. Jesus Christ, why is that so hard for people to understand? Because people are stupid and easily led. That's why. Two people, okay. Be honest in this question, okay? You have to pick one of these two guys. Guy A says, I'm going to take you over here. You're going to work really hard, sweat, probably get some calluses, maybe a couple bruises. And at the end of it, I'm going to give you $1,000. Guy B says, I'm going to give you $1,000. Which one are you going to go for? Now, if most people are being honest, I know, put your skepticism away, because the guy who says you're going to do hard work might not give you the $1,000 either. Everybody just assumes that first guy, he's actually going to pay you. Maybe he won't. A and B might both be lying to you about that money. So you have to decide which of those two you're going to go with. Which one are you going to go with? You're going to go with the guy who's promising you money for nothing, because that's easier. It's nicer. You're just going to give me $1,000. Cool. It doesn't matter that guy doesn't have $1,000. Anyway, Saffron, thank you. Israel and Ukraine are the same situation. If you don't want to fund the war over in Eastern Europe, you shouldn't be wanting to fund what one-sided war is going on with Israel. All right, I'm going to tell you why it's different. And you can still hold your idea that you can't support, or you can support one but not the, or can't support one and not the other. There is no strategic benefit to the United States having Ukraine hate Russia. There's no strategic benefit there. When was the last time the United States went to war with Russia? Go ahead. I'll wait. When was the last time the United States went to war with Muslims? When was the last time we went to war in the Middle East? There is a strategic value to Israel. Do I think that it's worth spending all our money on? I honestly, I don't know. I really do think we just say, fight it out and we'll deal with the winner. But there is a very good reason to support them in a way that there's not a good reason in Ukraine. It's not like we desperately need access to the Black Sea. Europe does. Ukraine is a Europe problem. But, and even then, at least they've been to war with Russia before. We've never been to war with Russia. And the idea that Ukraine is in any way our fucking business, only if you believe that it could kick off an actual global conflict, a la, if he gets that, he's going to take Poland. There's no reason to believe that. We have the NATO wall there. Russia knows what happens if they cross that. It's all out war, and that's not what Putin wants. But when it comes to the strategics of it, the strategy of it, there is a strategic reason to have a base of operations in the Middle East. One that the French can't go, no, we won't let you fly here. So they are different things. There are actually reasons to support Israel that have nothing to do with them being Jews. Is it enough for you? Maybe not. Anyway.
2. Advocate for popular economic policies. Moderate our positions where our agenda is unpopular, including on issues like immigration, public safety, energy production, and some identity.
Lie. So far they came up with say what's popular and lie. Okay.
Cultural issues.
So basically, it took you guys 10 years, millions of dollars, and dozens of Microsoft team meetings to come to the conclusion that everyone has been saying forever. You wasted a decade worshiping at the altar of mentally ill Karens, and now you're acting like, hey, what if we were normal is a groundbreaking political discovery.
I like that she just accidentally called lying normal political or normalcy in politics. She's not wrong. She didn't mean to say it, though.
You. I could have told you all this for free. It is a bad sign.
But wait a second. There's a difference between telling them how to win and thinking that should win. You know what I mean? Just because something is popular doesn't make it good. Just ask James Corden. The idea that, advocate for popular economic policies. Okay. What if the popular economic policy is cut taxes and cut spending? You're a commie. You're not going to go for that. The young people you were talking about before, they're not going to go for that. But if enough people over the age of whatever you guys have decided is the right age to be to have a good opinion, say 30 plus, if all of those people are like, that's really stupid, you can still win with the unpopular opinion. Say what's popular and lie every politician's motto. Yeah. Acting like advocate for the popular position is some kind of groundbreaking. We need a study of, 300,000 people or whatever. That's retarded. Say what's popular and doesn't matter if it's true. You can keep your healthcare provider. Read my lips. No new taxes. Anyway. You can't ask James, he's no longer popular. Exactly. What is popular is not always right. That is an important distinction here, Shoe. If all you want is to win, cool. Yes, you're absolutely right. The question is whether or not we want those people to win.
It took you over a decade to come to the same conclusion that my audience has come to like a decade ago.
Except in fairness to the Democrats, and you're not going to like that, I'm going to say this. The Democrats already do this. They do. The change has come with how the press has been able to push this stuff. Remember, the whole trans identity thing was wildly popular in all of the media for a couple of years. And it wasn't until people started pushing back, people who were silenced at first, started pushing back, that we saw a reduction in all of that nonsense. It was the popular position, at least with all the cool kids under 30. They've been doing this all along to have this study. They've been lying to people. They lied to you in New York, sweetie. You just got to vote for a mayor. Well, I don't know if you still live there because you said you moved. No idea where you moved to. But the people of New York City just got to vote for a mayor who did nothing but lie to them, told them exactly what they wanted to hear. How much is actually going to change? I mean, you even questioned that at the beginning, or is he going to sell out to the establishment? And to you, that's the only two choices. He's either going to do what he says or he's going to sell out. How about it was never possible in the first place? It wasn't possible. He lied to you. He wasn't lying for the establishment. He really wants to be a commie dictator. Whoops, my bad. He really wants to be a commie leader, but there's no money for it. So when it doesn't happen, it's not that he sold out to the establishment. It's that checks have to clear. The account has to have the funds.
And they're all retarded. Please reflect on this, I beg of you. Also, what do you mean you had unpopular positions on public safety? Like, why would you even say that out loud? Yeah, let's vote for the party that admits it was wrong about the issue of crackheads shanking people in the street.
They're talking about defund the police, sweetie. That is a wrong position on public safety. What they were saying is that instead of letting it get out of hand and have a national movement of defund the police, we need to, I can't believe I'm saying this, take the Biden position and go, no, that's stupid. Joe Biden never came out for defund police. Sure, he got himself a VP who was like, help these guys get out of jail. But Biden never took that tack. And a lot of people thought he should have. That's what they're talking about there. But anyway, go ahead.
I love this quote from Nancy Pelosi, randomly shoved in here. Winning an election is a decision. You make a decision to win, and then you make every decision in favor of winning. How?
That sounds like some stupid football coach advice. We're going to decide to win this game. We're going to give it our all this time. You're supposed to do that every game, coach.
Deep. How thought-provoking. Thank you, Nancy. What would we do without you? Probably.
In fairness here, Shoe, I do see, especially when it came to the trans stuff, I was partially convinced that Democrats were trying to lose. You can't look at how unpopular it is to chop off 5-year-olds' wieners and be like, yeah, we should do that. And it seemed like you want to win. They can't go together. When people are like, leave the kids alone, and you're like, fuck that. We're going to fuck the kids and we're going to fuck them and cut off their wieners and fuck them again. You're going to be at least partially viewed as not wanting to win. What Nancy is saying there, in God, don't make me be fair to Nancy, is that you have to be popular. That's what she was getting at there. We have to make the decisions to win. Don't make me defend Nancy Pelosi. God damn it. When you're in politics, it's very easy to try to be outrageous. This is the right thing. This is the right thing to do. And still try to do it, and it costs you electorally. Like, well, let's stick with the trans thing. We need to be letting kids take hormones and stuff that is untested in this manner. It's off-label usage. You shouldn't be doing this to children. But they thought they were right. There's the being on the right side of history. And it can be I'm not saying it was the right. Let's use a better example. Let's use Lincoln with slavery, right? Slavery, it had lost a lot of its allure by the time he comes along, by the time the Republicans come along with their abolitionist movement. Abolition had been a thing before, but Lincoln didn't say he was going to free the slaves, right? He's like, I'll free all of them, or I'll free none of them to keep the United States together. The great emancipator, right? Who was against slavery. He was absolutely against slavery. But in order to keep the country together and get elected, he said he wouldn't free any of the slaves if it would keep the South from seceding. You guys stay with us. I won't free any of them. And it's not till after they secede that he's like, are we going to Gettysburg? Let me write this down. And that's what she's getting at, is that you need to say the popular things to win. That's what Lincoln did. Even though he was anti-slavery, he was like, fuck it, we'll keep all the slaves, all of them, if it means we can win. So, Lincoln fired Fremont for freeing slaves. Again, you got to think about the political time. Lincoln was a good politician. He actually was pretty decent politician, very good orator. But he knew that if he ran on just freeing the slaves, he wasn't going to win, and there's a good chance he'd get shot. Boy, was he right.
Win an election, Democrats have changed our focus. In comparison with the Democratic Party of 2012, today's Democratic Party is more focused on issues like climate change.
I read ahead and I shouldn't have done that. I just need to stop and laugh because what they're saying that they're part of what the Democratic Party cares about today is different than in 2012. No, it's not. None of this is different. Not a single piece of it.
Democratic Party of 2012, today's Democratic Party is more focused on issues like climate change, democracy, abortion, and identity and cultural concerns, and less focused on the economy and middle class.
They weren't focused on the economy and middle class in 2012 either. One, this is Barack Obama's second term going into Obama's second term. You can make the argument that in his first term, maybe they were concerned about it because we just come out of the Great Recession. Sorry, I still laugh at that phrasing. We're coming out of the Great Recession. 2012 is all about climate change and abortion. I will give them they didn't care about democracy because that hadn't been one of their talking points. Identity and cultural concerns, absolutely they were. We're getting into the area of gay marriage, and they've been on the identity shit forever. Less focused on the economy and middle class. If anything, I'd say they're more focused on that.
The table below shows the shift through an analysis of the prevalence of selected words in the 2024 Democratic Party platform in comparison with the 2012 Democratic Party platform.
On the words that they got to select shows that there's been a change here, you guys. Pay no attention to Trayvon Martin could have been my son. There was much less emphasis. They're much more about the middle class.
This whole study is really interesting, but I need you guys to see this chart because when I first saw this, the scream I screamed. So Democrats since 2012 have increased their rhetoric on race by, sit down, 1,137%. On the
I want to see the overall platform and search it myself because they said based on their search terms of the platform. For those of you who don't know, the platform, they actually do put out basically a manifesto of what they believe in. Both parties do this every presidential election year. These are our party platform. These are the things we care about. I'm having a hard time believing that went up 1,000% on race because I remember being there.
gays, 1,044%. Their rhetoric on men has decreased.
Maybe on gays, because Obama does wait until after he gets reelected to be like, yeah, gay people are good. Maybe gays.
Is 1,044%. Their rhetoric on men has decreased by 51%. It is now negative 51%. On fathers, negative 100%. They just stopped talking about that. Veterans, negative 31. The economy, negative 51 because nobody cares about that, right? The middle class, 79%, but I guess you can't really talk about something that is disappearing. And jobs, negative 47%. It's somehow...
Well, and again, part of that is going to be changed a little bit because remember Obama, shovel-ready jobs. So in 2012, when they're coming into the election for the re-election, that is a major talking point there. So jobs were talked about a lot. Where in 2024, we don't really have a job crisis. For all I can't find a job. That's anecdotal. The unemployment rate is mostly unchanged for the last the last decade. That's not to say that there aren't places where it's hard to find jobs, but we haven't gotten into a 80s style recession where the economy tanks, you got massive inflation and there's massive unemployment. It just hasn't happened. But coming out of 2000, out of George Bush, we have the Great Recession, and that becomes a massive talking point for them. This is another one of those things, Shue, where part of it is going to be based on the circumstances at the time. I still don't believe that they're talking more about race than they used to.
Gets worse. Apparently, voters trust Republicans more on the most important issues to them and trust Democrats the most on the least important issues to them.
Well, this is part of the problem, Shue, with this can't be news to you. This cannot be news to you. Most voters don't give a rat's ass about trans rights. I know you hate that. Not you, but the liberals hate that. But despite how many have popped up all over the place because it's fashionable to do so, trans people don't make up that much of the world. Most people don't give a rat's ass that Kamala Harris has dark skin. We've already had a black president. Having another half black president isn't a new thing anymore. So playing up the race card doesn't really have the same effect. The things that they agree with Democrats on are probably stupid ass social issues that don't have a lot to do with their day-to-day life.
Literally care the least about LGBT, but trust Democrats the most with it. The most popular Democratic.
I don't know why that's surprising to you. I don't care about this thing, but I do trust those guys most to handle it, right? Like, I'm trying to think of a good example here. I can't think of an analogy. But just because I trust somebody to handle something doesn't mean I care about that something. Right?
Policies among voters are things like lowering drug prices, banning stock trading, expanding Medicare, and raising the minimum wage. While the most unpopular Democratic policies are things like abolishing the police, providing free healthcare to illegal immigrants, and affirmative action. You're telling me this for the first time. Democrats, here is some advice for free. You can't.
Wait, but again, they think they're. How many times have we heard them use the right side of history? It's unpopular, but it's the right side of history. So I understand why you're frustrated by this, Shue. But understand that the left today cares way more about being activists than they care about leadership. These are people either of the generation or raised by the generation of hippies. These are the generation that had Woodstock and they had Vietnam to fight against. They had civil rights struggles, actual civil rights struggles. And the left of today desperately wants to be part of standing up to a historic wrong. We're on the right side of history. History's not going to remember that. Shut up.
Can't just be MAGA light. Why would people drink Mr. Pibb when Dr. Pepper is right there? You know what I'm saying? You gotta bring something different, something better to the table. And that difference should be working class.
You don't actually. You don't have to bring something different to the table. You just have to promise more of whatever's popular. Again, if one candidate is saying, I'm going to raise your food stamps $100, and the other one says, I'm going to raise your food stamps $200, the guy who's doing $200 is literally just doing the same thing and is probably going to win.
focused economic populism. I don't just want two neocon parties, okay? But all of this is—
Stop calling them neocon, please, please. Are there still a lot of what we refer to as neocons? Sure, but a lot of them have been phased out. Graham is like one of the last holdouts.
Pointless when it's clear the
There's a ton of them in media still, people like Bill Kristol and stuff, but actually in positions of power, far, far fewer. And certainly none who have been a major force in the Republican Party for the last 12 years.
Dems are not changing at all. They're just going to change their messaging. They're putting pretty wrapping paper and a bow on a big, fat, smelly turd.
But that's how you win. This is why I had to defend Nancy Pelosi there. You have to make the moves to win. I'm not saying it's okay, but the problem is that that rhetoric is what is resonating with the people. You're trying to explain why Mamdani and Fuentes have been more popular. They've grown. But you can't explain that without explaining that that's what they do. They tailor a message because it's going to be popular with their group at that point, the group they're trying to attract. Doesn't matter that what they're saying is shit. It's in a pretty package. That works in politics.
Chance that the Democrats may win based entirely on Orange Man bad again, which
Democrats are likely. What is the House breakdown? It's 220 to 212, something like that. And in the Senate, what is it, a 3-person advantage for the Republicans right now? The chance of the Democrats taking the House and Senate are pretty good, especially in the second term of a president's stint in office there. The midterm elections tend to go against his party, and it has nothing to do with one party suddenly being much better than they were 2 years before. It has to do with people blaming the guy in charge no matter what, right? If, let's say, we can do this with Bush. Katrina happens. George Bush has no impact on Katrina. Yes, you can talk about the aftermath of it, but he was basically being blamed for the hurricane. You didn't do nothing to fight climate change. And that drug him down because he was the guy at the top. We look to the guy at the top, even if it's not his responsibility to do something. He's in charge of these things, so it should be done. And it doesn't work that way in politics. In government, it really doesn't. And it's kind of unfair to the guys sometimes, the guys in office. They may really want to do what they said, but they have to deal with 100 senators and 430 some House members to get shit passed. And each one of those people, 500 people, have a fucking objective themselves. And I'm not defending politicians, really. We're just explaining how the system actually works. So like with Trump and the wall, which we talked about earlier, Trump couldn't get the wall passed in his first term. And they're like, Trump fucking sucks. He said he'd get us this wall. He tried. It just didn't work out. He didn't get the funding that he wanted. But he's the one that got blamed for it, even though it was Congress who should have given him the wall. The Republicans had the Congress. They could have given it to him until the midterms. But when we come to these midterms, and we'll probably see it, the blue wave is coming, because now there's waves all the time instead of just electoral politics. Apparently, we're all in an ocean. And you're going to see the Democrats have a good chance of taking one or both houses of Congress. And it'll be like, look, everybody switched their position. They hate what Donald Trump stands for. And it'll be about as real as every other change we've seen in politics. It's not. It's just the way the system works. And you're right, Brad. It worked is kind of a misnomer there.
Means they might get into office by learning absolutely fucking nothing. Again. Then the voters will go, oh my God, nothing has changed, and then they'll vote for a Republican. American politics is just a revolving door of villains, isn't it? Rest assured, whoever wins, we lose.
No, it's an adversarial system that was set up that way specifically to keep things from going to where we are today. Populism isn't supposed to change all of our fucking laws, because the founders were smart enough to know the dangers of that. We have a system that's set up to work against each other, so that only things that are actually going to help, theoretically, can get passed. Happy Thanksgiving, Wade. The problem is how much we have government trying to do. If we get the government out of our lives, the idiots up there not getting anything done doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, because they're not affecting me anyway. So the left seems to be a revolving door of bullshit. You're not wrong. But yeah, a lot of the stuff that we do, and you can thank Roosevelt for this, Franklin, not Teddy. A lot of the stuff that they do, it shouldn't be done. It's not their job. It's not up to them to make sure we have a retirement or to make sure kids get school lunches. It's great if we can work out school lunches and stuff. I'm not against feeding kids. But unless you're going to take the most asinine view of the general welfare clause, it's not government's business. It's not what they're there for. And you don't get what you want because you just want and want and want and want. You want more and more and more and more every time. And when you don't get it, it's like, that's the government's not working. No, that's actually how it's supposed to work. Instead of sitting around waiting for government to take care of your kids, take care of your own fucking kids.
You're actually going to do this shit, if you're actually going to do what you're saying in this little article, you better be going whole hog, not just the tip. I'm talking embracing shoe-cialism.
Okay, she's getting silly in this part. I'm interested in. They didn't say they were going to actually change anything. They just said they were going to change their rhetoric. That's literally all they said in those 4 or 3 points that she showed us. We're going to lie and say what's popular. That's all they said.
For many years, I have been smeared as many things.
True.
Grifter, flip-flopper, fence-sitter, racist, sexist, homophobic. But I am not a grifter, flip-flopper, or a fence-sitter. I'm simply
I was going to say those others are probably somewhat true.
living in 2055. You see, America has been a hyper-capitalist, economically center-right, socially center-left country since about the mid-century. And I know libertarians in my audience are going to be like, it's not capitalism, it's cronyism. Okay, whatever the f you want to call it, it sucks, okay? So what if instead, and hear me out, what if instead we were a more people-focused, community-focused, working-class-focused, economically left, socially right country? All the data
Like the USSR, China, Cuba, Venezuela. What if we were commie? All right.
shows more people fall into that quadrant, the populist quadrant, the shoe-cialist quadrant, if you will, than the current system we are in today. If a shoe-cialist party existed, it would be incredibly popular, but it doesn't exist. And that's probably by design, honestly. The Social Democrat Party of Denmark has passed many progressive policies that liberals in America would only dream of. Protection.
Again, pass it. Why do they always go to the Nordic countries? Why? Go back and look at the policies that were passed in, was it Sweden, right? Or was it Switzerland? One of those two. Back in the 80s. They were all things that liberals today would love. And they had to get rid of them because their whole country just stagnated.
From rent hikes, free college and healthcare, carbon taxes, and a very strong welfare system. But
we should kick them out of NATO and tell the Russians we won't help if they invade and see how much of their spending changes.
The Social Democrat Party also believes in a strict immigration policy. They believe that if immigration is too fast or chaotic, it puts pressure on working class communities, weakens...
Nope. It's not. They know that it's going to absolutely tank their social system, their social safety net.
Social unity, and makes it harder to maintain their strong welfare system. Wow, what a
that last one's the only one that actually matters to them because they can't afford what they're doing right now.
grifter Denmark is. I feel like so many people nowadays are like terminally left-right brain to the point where like they look at issues and instead of being like, that solution makes sense to me. I believe that. I agree with that. They instead go, that's the left-wing solution. Therefore,
One of the best examples of what she's talking about here is when they have gone out and read statements and said, do you agree with Donald Trump when he says this? And they go to colleges, right? And the college students are all like, no, what? That racist son of a bitch. And then they go, actually, that was something Nancy Pelosi say. And then they go, I mean, I kind of see where she's coming from.
will believe in that. And it's so stupid and hyper partisan and makes absolutely no sense to me. And that's why I think like a lot of left.
I do agree with this. I don't think you should base your policies on right and left. I don't. This is why I preach to you guys principles. You need to have principles. And if it turns out Nancy Pelosi is pushing something you agree with, then Nancy Pelosi is pushing something you agree with. You're on her side for that issue. And you don't have to be like, well, fuck, I got to throw this away because that horrible hag said it. No, you can still like that thing. Holy shit, are we at 3 hours? I blame Shoe for this one. I'm going to have no voice for Thanksgiving.
Right brain, hyper partisan people don't understand me or people like me. That's why they call me a centrist or fence sitter or flip flopper or whatever. And it's like, no, I'm not a.
And this is an argument that's been going on YouTube, at least for quite a long time, where the idea of centrist and fence sitter are the same, and they're not. These days, I'm pretty conservative, but my views haven't changed. I am basically a centrist. I am fiscally very conservative. And when it comes to social issues, I have my opinions on them, but whether or not the government should get involved, like, no. In most of this shit, I don't think the government should. Now, when you're talking about, castrating children, I think they should get involved. But I'm a socially live and let live kind of guy. I don't really give a shit what you do. I might think what you're doing is weird or stupid and make fun of it, but I don't care that you do it. It's just that you gave me something to laugh at. So because of things like that, where if you have a leftist lean in one way and a right lean in the other, like fiscal versus social, that's usually the breakdown. Then you're a fence sitter. No. I have been called a fence sitter. How many of you there want to pretend I don't have strong ideas about anything? We just can't figure out where monkey sits. You not being able to nail down somebody's politics doesn't make them a fence sitter. It's one of the internet's wonderful times where they've taken a term and just absolutely fucking destroyed it because it's morons using it.
Fence sitter. I have many strong opinions. You just don't like them. And no, I'm not a flip-flopper just because you don't understand the concept of having opinions that don't perfectly fall on the arbitrary, always changing left-right axis that is American circus politics.
I'm not sure what she's referring to there because I don't know why she's ever been called a flip-flopper. I'd have to see the individual cases. Most of the times I've seen people called flip-flopper, they actually are flip-flopping. And if you have a good reason for it, like say the situation's kind of earlier today, somebody said they found it ironic that I was for property rights, but now I'm not, even though I didn't change that I'm still for property rights. I have seen times where people have said flip-flopping and they just didn't understand nuances, but that's not one I run into very often. I don't run into the fence sitter thing very much anymore either, because seriously, you're going to claim I don't have strong opinions.
Nothing incoherent about my beliefs on paper. None of them contradict one another. I don't understand. She likes...
You have kind of contradicted yourself in here. If I'm just being honest.
Free healthcare but doesn't want to chemically castrate children? She believes in workers' rights but wants a stricter border? I don't get it. Like, where is the contradiction? I'm basically...
Those ones aren't contradictions. And again, I don't know what you're specifically talking. If those are the things that people are saying you're contradictory about, then they're wrong because those aren't contradictions. But like the Pelosi quote, right? Where she's like, hey, we got to do things that we're going to win. Well, the whole thing has been about how they have to win. And the way they do that is actually saying things that are popular. You seem to be against that notion, or maybe you're just against the notion of how long they spent figuring that out. But anyway. Yeah, Monk's not a flip-flopper. He's more of a fall downer. Oh, God. So my sinus has been fucking with me since fall hit because that's what happens. And for the first time the other day, I got dizzy. First time in like more than a year. And God, I forgot how much I fucking hate that. I didn't fall down, though. I didn't fall down.
Just Bernie Sanders before he got his spine surgically removed by the DNC. In conclusion,
Bernie
MAGA
did
and the
not-
Republican...
wait. Bernie, sweetie, this is something you need to come to terms with. Bernie Sanders has always been a lying piece of shit who uses communism to get himself elected. I believe he is a communist, but he's always been too much of a bitch to just say it. I know you don't like hearing about that about your hero, but Bernie Sanders has literally always been a bitch.
Party embracing populism is what made them so popular in the first place. But if the Republican Party's answer to all these issues young people are having is, F you, just move, you're not talented, maybe you'll own a home when you're 70 years old, they're doomed. Like they had a small, brief fling with populism and ghosted it. Just pumped and dumped. Like a fat whore they're ashamed of and won't
Not
bring out
really.
on dates in public.
But we've been over it.
As I'm editing this, Trump and Mamdani had a meeting together, and it was very interesting.
We were discussing when Bernie Sanders was out of the race, I picked up a lot of his votes, and people had no idea. When he was put out of the race, I think quite unfairly, if you want to know the truth, many of the Bernie Sanders
was rightfully put out of the race. He was losing.
Voters voted for me, and I felt very comfortable, frankly, in seeing that and saying that. I would feel very, very comfortable being in New York, and I think much more so after the meeting. We agree on a lot more than I would have thought.
I'm sorry, this is my new favorite problematic Yowie ship. They love each other. Maybe it's not over, folks. Maybe the power of friendship and populism will save us all.
Or when Trump meets with people, he's way nicer to them than he is on social media. Maybe you should stay diabetic this year. Nah, I don't feel it.
Listen, I want my kids to grow up in a safe and affordable world where they can get jobs and they can start a family and then they can have the same for their kids. And I feel like at the end of the day, that's what most people want, left and right. They just have different ideas on how to get there. It just so happens
that used to be the thing. We've talked about this many times. In politics, it used to be, hey, I want lower gas prices for Americans. And Democrats are like, well, what we need to do is, okay, that's a horrible example because they've never been good on that. I want people to have food. And the Republican answer was, we need to increase jobs. And Democrats' answer was, we need to increase food stamps. The goal was the same. They just had different ideas on how to get there. Now it is, you disagree with me, you're Satan, I hope you die. And it's been this way for a while. No, Monk, it was unfair to trip the three-legged special kid just because he was losing the race. We wanted to see him publicly lose. Cheating against him seemed unnecessary. Fuck that kid, man. Shouldn't have been in a race against me. I'm Alpha Monkey. I win all the races.
my ideas happen to be the correct ones, and if you disagree with them, you will be sent to the re-education camp. Do you want one? Do you want a nuggie? Pledge your allegiance to shoe-socialism, and you get...
I do want to give you a little credit for eating McDonald's nuggets because those are the only real McNuggets. All of the other ones, they try to be special. And look, I like some of them. Like, I've never got the thing with the nuggets from Wendy's about they're so good. They taste like grease cakes. But there are other good ones, but they're all trying to differentiate themselves from McDonald's instead of just ripping them off totally.
A nuggie. So that was that little video. If you liked it, please subscribe for more. And if you want to help support the channel, donate to my Patreon, link down below. All patrons get every single video uncensored a day early. If you can.
I really should do that as much as I use her shit. Shoe, sweetie, I love you. I think you're great, but you're a little still naive in some of your political takes and in how the world runs and should run. But I enjoyed it. I didn't hate it as much as I should have. Maybe it's because I'm being nice because I know her and she's really a nice girl. But God, couldn't there be a more? She's actually like lie to me, and then she's like, they say they're just gonna lie. Well, it's what you want them to do. You want them to lie to you and tell you they're gonna take away all your problems, which they can't do. You got to pick a lane, sweetie. I don't think you're fence sitting here. I think you're twisted. I think you got your spine twisted in half like it's mine or something. And yeah, so maybe understand that you might be a little bit more like the entitled bedroom feminist than you want to admit. You're not as bad as them for sure, but I don't want to have to move. Okay, then you get to stay where you are and starve. Those are your choices. Maybe if we had more focus on responsibility, we wouldn't be in the mess that we're in with the affordability crisis. Maybe if kids were told you don't deserve that, we wouldn't have them spending money that they don't have. I don't know. I'm from a different time, you guys. I'm from a time when if mom couldn't afford it, she'd just tell you, we can't afford that. She didn't go out and put herself in debt to get it for us. She didn't ruin her financial future because I wanted a toy that day. I'm from a time when if you said that's not fair, mom would look at you and go, life isn't fair. And there was no other explanation. If you asked mom, she told you to do something, and you're like, why? She would come back with, because I said so. She didn't have to have a 50-page dissertation on why she was telling her sweet, innocent, perfect child no. Alan, thank you so much. Very generous, my friend, who says amen. Maybe we need to if you want to live like your parents, maybe we should live like our parents. Maybe we should go back to a time where responsibility was more important than what you want. Maybe we should go back to a time where your means meant more than what you want. Put the toy back and don't ask again. Yeah. I was watching a thing earlier. Somebody sent me. It's a channel called Psychobabble with Dr. Somebody. I don't remember what her name is, but she was explaining the psychological problems with women these days. And she's talking about all these undiagnosed disorders that these women have. You see, they're undiagnosed, and in literally every clip that she showed, it's just a spoiled, entitled brat who never got told no. That's not a psychosis. That's just a social issue. It's a behavioral issue we fucked up on. More people. Remember my roll up a newspaper, smack him in the nose and say no? Don't actually ever do that, but we need the rhetorical example of that. And I've often said that about with women when they come up with bad ideas, but we just need to do it in general with bad ideas. No, that's a bad idea. Stop it. Shoo, you are flirting with communism. And spare me that democratic socialist bullshit. It's communism. The government taking care of all your needs is communism. That's, I don't know what to tell you. And even the socialist part is the step to communism. It has failed literally every time it's happened. And it has led to massive death. If we're being kind to the communists, we say all of that death was from famine, state-induced famine. People starved to death. Hundreds of millions of people starving to death. That's what you're advocating for populism, so that you can tell people, hey, we're going to take care of you. And on that note, guys, we're going to wrap this one up. If I don't see you before the Thanksgiving holiday, which I'm sure I will, I plan to still see you before then. Have a wonderful holiday. If you're not in the United States and don't have Thanksgiving come up, then you're in the wrong country and you should be here. Sucks to be you. But I love you guys. Thank you for all of the comments and the watch hours and everything. Thank you for the donations. You guys are so kind. Please go give Shoe a like on her video at the very least. Go watch it in its full presentation. If you want to see it without me interrupting every 10 seconds, it's probably much funnier without my interruptions. But please do support her channel. I do like Shoe. She's a good gal, and we just disagree on economic policy. Take care of yourselves, guys. I love you. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye now. I sing a song at the end of my show because I started it to be funny. And now it's the albatross dragging me down. Fuck, why'd I do this?